You guys all have dicks, but it's not like our dick.
Oh my gosh. That's going to be the soundbite, isn't it?
This is the Imperial Schools of Honor podcast. I'm Josh Folan.
And I'm Jay Baxtron.
And we are going to be bullshitting about the formative years of console gaming as we revisit the periodicals that covered it again. We are sprinting off the school bus and to the mailbox, ripping past Dad's lame-ass Popular Mechanics mag issue to claim what is rightfully ours, Sega Visions issue 1 in this episode. Link to the issue is in the show notes, as it always is. We are, just let it be known, we are doing a new recording process for this episode. So if you're even listening to it, it's a little bit of a minor miracle. That means we succeeded in recording it properly, semi-properly anyways. But if it's a little fucked up or a little shitty or a little worse, which it shouldn't be, the whole goal of this is for it to not be worse, sound quality-wise. But if it is, sorry, and we'll do better next time. Either way, please rate and review the podcast. If you post it, we'll read it here. Give us validation and self-worth. As we always start with, what are we jamming on now? Jay, what are you jamming on now? Besides Forza, including Forza.
Oh, man. Speaking of, yeah. So, Forza Horizon 5 just released. First of all, let me say, I had low expectations. Like, internally, clearly, it was a big deal. Forza 4 is like a huge deal, very strong racing game.
I've never heard this word in my life till you texted it to us. Just so you know. Forza is a word I've literally never heard in my life.
Well, it's funny because like I loved racing games growing up, like we've talked about the games that we love over and over that are racing, quality games, RC Pro-Am, freaking obviously Ivans, the best of the best, Top Gear 3000, which I've talked about over and over. So, but I just haven't got, like, I love playing racing games even with the kids. There's games that we played that we found in Game Pass and, boat racing games. But I just have never really gotten into the Forza series, and it wasn't a big deal to me. But because I knew it was like such a big deal, this new installment, I tried it out, and it is like actually taking the time to get into it, man. It is absolutely amazing. It is absolutely amazing. Like first of all, from a graphic standpoint, yeah, it looks freaking realistic. You're in Mexico, and it goes without saying, most realistic racing game I've ever seen. Period. Second, it's like an open world experience. So you're like it's like an open world RPG with your car. Like, so you're in Mexico, you can go where you want. And like, there's when you get to different places, like there's challenges you can complete. There's like freaking ramps where like you just have to take air and just fly your car as far as possible. And like you get different stars for doing so. And so there's different places, obviously, where you pull up and it's like a race. And so like it's an amazing use of the open world, current generation experience of things with a beautiful racing, game. And it's fun too because you can do it by yourself, obviously, but then every time there's a race or something like that, you can do it with friends. Like you can do it with co-op, you can do it, online with other people. And so if you have a bunch of friends who are in the racing, you can jump in and race together like you would do, if you were racing at home with your brothers or your sisters, whoever. And the fact that you can do that alone or solo, it's just really well done, man. And I'm super impressed. And yeah, I can't say enough about it. Like for somebody who wasn't looking forward to it, and like I messed around with Forza 4 before, like just a little bit, but not enough to really understand it. But like you can upgrade your cars, you can get like a ton of different cars, which obviously have their pluses and minuses. Like clearly you want like your off-road vehicle for this off-road challenge and not your freaking Ferrari, you know what I mean? And I've done that in the game and witnessed the consequences of that. It's very fun to do that, you know what I mean? And so it's just really well done. So I recommend it, like for anybody with Game Pass, you got an Xbox, like just freaking check it out. Like if you actually get into it a little bit, I mean, you got the whole aspect of it where you can create your avatar and upgrade your avatar and do that. Like if you're into all that, design your actual physical person. And then you have the
Do
cars
you
as well.
get out of the car and interact with the world as a human being too, or are you always in the car?
There's actually cinematics where you do get out and like interact with the world, and like there's like a storyline when you're in the first player like in your campaign mode, which is kind of the game. So yeah, there's definitely moments when you get out, like when you want to race. Obviously, you're on stage, you get out and wave into the crowd and things like that. So it's yeah, it's just it's things like that which make it so much bigger of a racing game than I expected it to be. So it's amazing. Can't say no.
Word, word. What the fuck does Forza mean?
I have no freaking idea, man. I've never asked. I don't know. I don't know. To me,
Okay.
that's like asking, like, what does Halo mean? Like, well, I guess you find out in the game, but in this, I got no idea. To me, that's like asking what's Formula One. I was like, I have freaking no idea. Is it Formula?
Well, Formula One is the
what does that
dumbass
mean?
thing that they came up with. It has something to do with, I'm sure, the science of fucking racing.
I don't
Halo's a much better rebuttal. Word?
Speaking of Halo, a couple other Halo games, naturally. Surprisingly, Halo Wars 2. Have you ever heard of this game?
All the Halo installments mean the same thing to me. Like then I can like I've never really played. I may never have played it all. I shouldn't even say really. I don't think I've ever even bothered to play whatsoever. So differentiating between the I don't know what are there fucking 50 installments of it now.
Well, I think that's the thing because we were kind of obviously going through the same phase and like playing less video games at the time, and so we kind of missed all that. If it wasn't for Jesse having an Xbox, and so when we would go home for Thanksgiving breaks and Christmas breaks from school and play it, like if it wasn't for that, playing for Halo with him, I probably wouldn't have as much familiarity with it either. But because of that, like I've always had, like yeah, Halo is pretty great. But yeah, man, this so for those reasons, like I had never played this game, never cared about it, like it wasn't on my radar. But Halo Wars 2, so Zion, because obviously I work in gaming and obviously we're into gaming clearly, so she is into gaming as well. And there's comic books from Halo, and she found some type of comic book that was referencing Halo Wars and was talking about it. She was like, "Hey, Dad, we gotta try it out." So apparently, this is like only previous gen, Xbox One generation game, Halo Wars 2. So I downloaded it on Game Pass. It's really fun. It's kind of like a real time strategy game in the same vein of Age of Empires, only in space. Space co-op and a little more.
I just listened to
real-time.
a whole what the hell is it? Three moves. It's a strategy podcast, strategy gaming podcast. 3 Moves Ahead, I think maybe it's called. And they did a whole episode on Age of Empires that I listened to just last night. The new one for.
Yeah.
And it was mildly interesting. I kind of piqued by it. Sorry to interrupt, but the whole time I was listening to it, I was thinking, I was like, am I going to be able to say I want to play it now to Jay tomorrow or not?
Nice. Yeah, man. Age is amazing. I have not played the new one since it came out yet. I played betas and all that, like up until the launch.
You were fucking like all fired up about it. You didn't fucking play it when it came out.
There's so many games. There's only so much time in my life. Like,
Yeah, that's fair.
that is literally the only reason, though, honestly, because like Zion's into it now, so I want to. But like, yeah, we're playing this, and I was like, that was what we were thinking the whole time. I was like, wow, this is kind of a little less building and a little more action, but like very a la Space Age of Empires. So it was actually pretty fun. Little hidden gem. We didn't play it a whole lot, but so far so good.
Word.
Excuse me. And then naturally, the one and only Halo Infinite multiplayer, since that bad boy was released. Oh my gosh, so good. I'm all done with Halo 5 Guardians. That was a great game for my PvP time suck aspirations, but it's all done now that Halo Infinite is out. Like that, I mean, that's what I'm playing. Like it's a much better game, just visually stunning. The modes,
What is the
modes are so much
time
more
interval
fun.
between releases on Halos? I feel like
I
that
don't know.
Cheap Ass Gamers podcast I listen to. Those guys, the one guy likes Halo a lot, and so he talks about it all the time. And he's like always, I don't know. It's so impossible to follow because again, it sounds like there's so many fucking installments of it. And I'm like, what is the release frequency?
Well,
on those?
there's only 5 like main games, and Halo Infinite will be the sixth like campaign game, And then I mean, Xbox has only been around like we just had the Xbox 20th anniversary, so you know what I mean. Over that span, and we launched with Halo, so over that span, there's been a total of six installments with Halo Infinite's campaign actually launching next month, like in a couple weeks. So pretty, it's been spaced out, but in that, obviously, there are still I just obviously talked about Halo Wars 2, there's Halo Wars, and, I think there's maybe been a couple other, side Halo things.
Offshoot things, yeah.
Yeah, but
Word.
yeah, but the PvP is great so far. Like it's a blast, man. Like some of the modes are just so much more fun and just so much more big team involvement. If I could like get hooked up with like a guild of people that ran regularly, that would probably be like just the ultimate time suck for me.
I want to take a nap just listening to you talk about
it. Oh my god! You got to get competitive, man. I got to get my competitive juices out some way. Like if I'm not like on a basketball court or like in some type of competition, I got to get my competition fix. That or ESO battlegrounds. I've been ESO in a bit. But
I'm old. I'm 40. I'm gonna die soon. I don't need to compete anymore. It's over. I ran the race. I'm just waiting on the fucking retirement ceremony. No, it's done. Maybe I get that out during Bills games. Maybe that's where that goes. Maybe just still have it. I do. Have. I'm sure I don't have any medical diagnosis of this or any real medical expertise to really say for sure, but. I'm guessing lots of testosterone, fucking whatever I have left as far as that goes, fucking is at max volume during Bills games, like especially in live attendance of them in the like space of a million other fans of the other team. I'm sure I'm whatever that biological thing that men feel the need to have. That's probably where it goes.
I guess, man. I've always been a competitive dude. Like every game, it can be family board games, it can be freaking cornhole in the backyard.
I am too, but
like, I gotta have something to compete in.
It does not manifest in something that that I need to like exhaust myself playing video games against other human beings. Like thankfully, and from my opinion or my perspective, anyways, it does not manifest itself that way.
I think that's also why I've talked about. We've talked about esports and like how I've been interested in that. It's like it's as I also get as like older and not able to run up and down the court and and swat people's stuff like I used to be able to. Like I even more so want to compete in video games or something where I still feel like I have some type of advantage. Like
did I tell you that story when I went and just played recently again? Basically, the first time I've really went down to those courts since that whole ridiculous thing where I hurt my knee on the very first shot.
Yeah.
During COVID. Did I tell you that story of playing recently? Where the dude tried to get me to play and I was like, nah, I'm too old for that shit. Like I'm just gonna shoot around. He was like, okay. Like he like totally like there was no it was amazing to me how like there was no contest at all. He was like, okay, I understand that. That makes sense to me. Like I don't know if that means like, yes, you look like it, or I don't think so, because later when we were shooting around, he asked me if I used to play, like, I don't know, fucking college ball or something, And I was like, no, on courts like this, but so yeah, I don't know if he was just like super accepting or if I looked like it initially. I don't know. I'm curious to know psychology behind the question, but in any event. Definitely too old for that is what I'm getting at there.
Oh, Josh, you'd be surprised, man. You'd be surprised. I play with, even on ESO, like competitively, I've played with some dudes who are older than us who still, same thing. They're like, oh yeah, just fuck that guy. Like,
video games, sure. No, for sure, yeah.
No, on the courts, I don't know. I would like to be. The court's around the corner from us. I have told her the idea, like I'm gonna go out there, see how it goes. I need to like get up early.
Exactly. Yeah. Like
some wins first.
What? Well, I guess that's you get loose. But I have like, I want it's something I want to do as just part of fucking something to move around because I don't fucking do any cardio at all. So just something to fucking move around, and basketball is of course enjoyable. So yeah, the goal is like I want to like start some routine where I get up early and go down there, and I don't have to necessarily engage with anyone if so minimal number of human beings, just to avoid that whole because even like. If I do it enough, I'm gonna convince myself like I can fucking play, and then I'm absolutely positive I'm gonna get hurt. So
right? That's how I just want to like I got this.
Yeah, I don't even want to expose myself to the potential of convincing myself to forego the risk. You know what I mean? Or to take on the risk rather. So
that's how it goes. That's how it goes. It goes from I don't know if I should do this to watch me dunk injury. 12 minutes. Like
but dude, I am absolutely at the age where like shit just hurts, like knees, shit like that. I don't do anything. Things are just like painful for a few days for no reason whatsoever. And I'm, it's not like I'm fucking not like I stay in shape. Like I work out 5 days a week, but that's not impact stuff. That's a completely different ballgame than anything where you're actually bumping into other human beings. So goes without saying. Okay. So Halo.
Yeah, that was great. I mean,
it's been like, did we go a month? I think we went a month since the last episode.
Yeah, it's been a while, man.
Close to at least 3 weeks.
I've, toyed with things, a little, like I said, more ESO. They've dropped a new update there, so it's actually been kind of fun getting into that just because they changed it. ESO used to be so much more like if you got to be either Magicka or Stamina to do damage. Like it was very separate. Like if you want to do Stamina, you had this stuff. Magicka was this stuff. Like everything was separate. Gear was separate. Spells are separate. Everything's separate. But they made this big update to where you can kind of do both. Like you can kind of where instead of having to be a Magicka person who has a staff, you can now be a Magicka person who has a freaking bow and arrow and daggers. You know what I mean? And you can do vice versa. And you can wear gear that used to only be available for Stamina characters as a Magicka character. And so that's been kind of fun seeing some of the build possibilities and so it's kind of sucked me back in a little more. I started running a couple more vet trials so I can get kind of the best meta game in the gear to do the top DPS again. So that's kind of sucked me back in. So yeah, I've been doing that a little bit as well. And I mean, I can't believe how long I've been playing that game. We were talking, I got back into starting to chat in the guild, and not like the guild that my wife used to run, but like a new guild where actually several people still play. And so we were talking about how long we've actually played together and how it's been like 5 years since we've been playing that game together, and how some people have been playing the game even longer than when we were playing it together. And I was like, I can't even believe that. Like, it's nuts.
They just had I know it's not the exact same thing, but it's close. I was just like watching LGR had did an episode on it, but the 10-year Skyrim anniversary just happened very recently. So yeah, it's been out for 10 years, which is
and they dropped a new freaking anniversary edition of Skyrim. Like, people are still playing. It's amazing.
Yeah. Is there anything is there any property or any, I shouldn't say that way. Of course there are properties, but like, is there any specific exact game with no changes to it that has been exploited for more money than Skyrim? You'd have to say no. Like, I can't imagine what it would be. I really can't. Maybe maybe one of those fucking Grand Theft Autos or something. Maybe it might be close. But I'd love to know the exact numbers on that, because it's got to be up there. If it's not the top, it's got to be fucking close to.
See, and I hear that.
Like I said, personally, I played it on PS3, PS4, PSVR. I didn't buy it for Switch, thank God.
Dude, that's why I wish you would get into ESO, man. It would be like, I know that's not your jam, but like it's so much more Skyrim-like now. I feel like, whereas before it was very much like a completely different game, and now it's like
that's
far more with crafting abilities and building abilities and your own house that you can like furnish and all this stuff, and just like
I fucked with it on PS3, so I just can't even begin to imagine how different it is. But
dude, yeah, it's night and day. It was
so bad, and exactly what I hate about the idea of online gaming when I did try it. That it was just like I just haven't even begun, and like the fact that they try to charge money for it, like go fuck off. I know they don't charge money for all of it now or whatever, but like, I'm just, fuck you, I'm not playing. I'm not paying you to play a game on a regular basis. Suck my dick.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been the bulk of it, man. Just playing out, downloading a few other games. Haven't really messed with a whole lot else, but mostly, yeah, I've been sucked into those franchises.
Word.
What about
Word.
you, man? What have you been into?
Oh, I sold my Xbox. I don't need that, so I don't really play anything there.
Are you serious?
No, I didn't sell it.
my God!
I might as well. I don't touch it.
Ah,
I think I fired up in the last month. I think I fired up. I was in a mood where I wanted to, because there is like a slight with the VR stuff. It's like a little bit of a thing to play VR. It requires just one little extra. Some of the games you can play sitting down, and that's cool. But even that, it's even to play Demio, it's it's just a little bit extra step of immersion and effort and cutting off from the rest of the world and yada, yada, yada.
yeah.
I was just in a mood where I didn't want to do go that whole extra mile, and I fired up Hypnospace Cowboy again or Hypnospace Outlaw. Why do I keep calling it Cowboy? Hypnospace Outlaw for just one evening. I played for maybe an hour or so. So that's literally the only time I've touched the Xbox in the last month. I haven't played plenty of VR, of course. Honestly, I've been a little bit traveling and shit. I didn't take it with me to New York, so I haven't played as much, maybe as I normally do. Anyways, I finished Shadowgate VR last night, actually.
You finished it? Nice.
Yeah, I finished it last night, and it's good.
Verdict.
I recommend it. It's I ended up having to. I got stuck on something to the point where I posted on Reddit, and they're like, look up YouTube videos. I'm like, there are no fucking YouTube videos. It's when I'm fucking posting this video or posting this fucking thing on Reddit. But the person telling me to look on YouTube, I was like, I'll fucking go look again. And there was one extended play video that had this late game thing, and it was so dumb. And then, that's why
one of those. Huh?
I'll sit and exhaust myself. That's the thing with these VR games, man. I've already said this. This is fucking beating a dead horse. But you can run into problems that are not an extension of game difficulty. They are an example of just it's just there are so many more nuances to interacting with the game world in VR that I played halfway through the game before I realized I could it's so cool too. And it's so much. The thing is, it's more of a mechanic later in the game. That's why it didn't occur to me to really try it. But they have this you use both hands in Shadowgate, and there's a lot of stuff where you gotta climb up a wall, and you gotta hand over one hand over after the other, scale across ropes and shit, and late in the game there's places where you gotta do it and fend shit off with your wand, and stop with the hand that you grab your wand that you don't use for your wand, and you gotta make, if you shit's charging at you, and if you can get flustered as shit, dude, and if you don't stop on the right hand, and you're you go to grab the wand, you just fall off and die, it's that's awesome, and just an immersion level you clearly can't get with a controller. Anyways, it was just such a stupid ass thing that just I couldn't figure out to get somewhere, and it was so fucking dumb. But I did find this extended play video that solved that little conundrum, and nice. And I don't know, yeah, that was a funny little thing. But yeah, so that was I finished that last night. I posted the last 13 minutes or so on the Facebook page of that. So if you're not going to take my advice and play it, and you should, but if you're not going to, it's spoiler laden. It's pretty. End of the game was pretty fucking cool. The shit with some dragon, of course. It's actually the shot behind me is a late game moment that's pretty fucking epic.
Gotcha. See, dude, yeah. I was going to buy the game. Honestly, I plan to buy that one. The what is it? The Walking Dead game, and then we actually already bought Carly and the Reaper Man on your recommendation, but we haven't gotten to play it yet, just because of freaking timing and Courtney's business and
that game. Dude, I told you that game
is Xbox games. Too. So yeah.
It's compartmentalized. So if you want to sit down, you can, especially the early game. There's probably a little bit of a learning curve where you're going to have to spend 10 minutes or something to figure just out the way things really work, but it's rather intuitive, and then once you get going, it's very compartmentalized. And we're pretty far into it, so I shouldn't say the stages aren't long and involving, but you can definitely sit down and just play a stage, save, and get out of it. And it's that, even these later game, and I don't know how late I think I don't even know if we're half done. So I shouldn't say that I'm super far, but they're difficult now for sure and involving, and maybe 15 minutes maybe that the levels are. It's like like I said, not half done. I don't believe, or if we are not much past, and we have played so much of that game. So I mean, what is it, $20 or $15 or something? Like, so fucking worth it. Such a good value.
Nice.
So yeah,
looking forward.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, yeah, it's fun as shit, dude. You too. It's great because you do. It's the perfect couple game because because it's like there's such different tasks too.
Yeah.
Like it's like if you play Overcooked, you're all doing the same thing. So it's the things you're going to bitch about. I don't know. You just have I don't know. It's hard to explain, but like because you have two completely different jobs in the game. One person is the overseer with the hands manipulating the environment. The other person has to actually kind of platform and use it all. It's like there's such different jobs. So like idea that
wait a minute. So who was the manipulator? Because I need to make sure Courtney does that because I enjoy the platforming. And she is going to eventually just be like, "Oh my gosh!" Like,
yeah.
I need to maximize.
Well, it's easy to start. Like I said, the manipulator is like it looks like a god. It's like a huge thing. It's just like giant hands, and the little girl is the actual person in the world that has to traverse it all. So, it won't be hard to discern that.
Okay.
But yeah, so the jobs are so different that you just have no like actual. You can't even see like there's things in the game where you. Like you have to like only one person can see them, and like we knew that the Grim Reaper character could see some things that the little girl couldn't. And those are hard. Where you're like literally like holding your hand because she can see your hands at all times. So like you're like holding your hand like there's a platform right here, and like it's only from my knuckles to my wrist, and like from my the base of my thumb bone to the edge of the you're like literally describing the space that they have to essentially jump into just nothing and trust that you're right about and you're holding your hand there. So like we knew that was a thing, and that's a very prominent mechanic in the game. That's of course super fun because you're whatever. But we found something later on recently where like her character could see something that I couldn't, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? There's nothing over there. She's like, what are you talking about? She's like, yelled back, like, what do you mean? What am I talking about? It's fucking right there. It's like, oh wait, maybe you can see something I can't see. Holy shit, So they're so different. The two games, it's essentially two completely different games. So yes, I mean that's one thing. You play the whole game this way and then switch. Or even alternate at times if you wanted to play that way. You could alternate past the controller kind of thing and take the different roles. There's just so much replayability to it, I think, on top of what is already like it's a lot of content for. But yeah, it's fun as shit. Like a really, really good co-op concept.
Nice, man. Nice. Okay.
But yeah, back to Shadowgate, dude. Highly recommend. Fucking definitely good. Like I in one of those videos, they were saying it's like I think the guy said like 6 hours. I played this game way longer. I must be dumb as fuck. It probably took me way longer than 6 hours to beat this fucking game. 100% certain that my play time is double digits for sure on hours. I don't know exactly how much time. Because, it's puzzle based, so how long you take to... And like I said, I had troubles a lot of times, like that instance with the mechanic thing, the late game thing I said I had to look up. Like I had the early one on too, or early one to one of those two. So I probably wasted some time just kind of figuring shit out because I guess I'm stupid. But it's definitely worth the money for sure. And the end of it, no question, gives you a very clear indicator and a very good incentive for there being and you playing another installment of it. So that's well done. Okay. My shift key is broke is very pleased with my his Shadowgate experience. So and trying to share that video for that, I was diddling around in the Oculus app on my iPhone, and I stumbled across the notifications for those phantom credits I said I was due from referring you and Amy. So I found 60 free bucks basically at the perfect time while I was finishing a video game. So I used that to cop Resident Evil 4. So that literally, I went to bed last night with the start of that download. It's $40. It's no small investment that's definitely the high water mark so far with those games. I'm sure they'll go up. I know they have a Grand Theft Auto coming out soon that will probably be 50, but I'm just guessing. I have no basis by which to say that, but that's just my guess. like Rockstar thinks their shit is fucking awesome, so they charge the maximum amount, even though they're wrong. So the reviews for Resident Evil are at 4. Like I was going through and just like, like making sure, like so when it first hit, I knew there was a lot of buzz about it, but I just wanted to be sure, like, whatever. And like the total number is 4.7, which isn't bad. It's pretty good to begin with. And like, so I went through and I was actually reading the 1 stars, which is cool. I don't know, maybe that's not unique, but you can actually select in the store to look at just the 1-star reviews, and get what's the worst people are saying about this. So like literally all the 1-star reviews are about it's like negativity stemming from what I guess is some sort of censorship in the game. Like, I didn't really parse them, especially when all the headlines were kind of the same. But like, it kind of sounds like, Resident Evil 4, I don't know when it came out. It was a long time ago. Definitely a very different cultural time, So I get what I kind of gleaned was there's something in the dialogue that it's probably like very, very fucking misogynistic or something, I'm guessing, which, the Resident Evil, it's almost been a joke from day one how like bad the writing is. It's like bad horror. It's like intentionally bad horror movie writing, So that inherently lends itself to misogyny. If you're talking like early 2000s or whenever, mid 2000s, whenever the fuck this game probably came out. So I think it had something to do from that, and they were like, we can't do that anymore. they pulled it out, and I guess it pissed off the purists, and they're 1-star in it for that, So literally all of them said that. Like everyone of them are like, at the beginning they're like, it's a great game, but so I think.
All right, so it's a great game, is what you're saying.
Exactly right. So yeah, and I never even played Resident Evil 4. I don't think, anyways. So I don't give a fuck either way. So like that. If that's the only bitch, I'm gonna have a blast. So I'm
good times
looking forward. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into that. It's probably intense too, and that's the thing too. Dude, Shadowgate. I told you about the jump scares and stuff. Like that shit's really prominent later, and like, fuck, some of the enemies at the end of that game, like. Like I had at least a half dozen like fucking like in my living room, like some shit jumping at me, and like did not see it coming, and like it's fucking, and I the point of this being Resident Evil 4, I'm sure will fucking crush that, So I'm really looking forward to having that land on me. So
nice, man.
So that's cool. And then Walkabout Mini Golf also dropped a new course for $2.99. Jay, did you know that?
I did not know that. I actually Yeah. Go ahead.
Gardens of Babylon, it's called, and it is fucking slick, dude. Yeah, it is sick. They have like, there's no new. It doesn't like have a new. It doesn't have that wind mechanic even from the Quixote course. I don't think there's any new real physics, but it is heavily dependent. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, and the world is like easily the most built out of any of the ones so far, I think. I think that's not a hyperbolic statement. I think that's true. But it definitely uses, it's like very angle focused as far as like how I've only played it twice. So yeah, so it's, but it seems like a lot of geometry focus, in the way there's just a lot of stuff that just flat out obstructions. Like there's just no way to get there without using some crazy geometry.
Okay.
So I think
it's tougher. Is what you're saying.
It's tougher, but it's also like when you get good at that shit, from knowing from the other courses that I played the shit out of, like when you get good at the geometry of a certain hole, and like the crazy ass shit you got to do to really maximize your efficiency on this hole, it is so fucking satisfying. So I think this course will really land in that way once you get it figured out. But yeah, it's beautiful. I found only I think 10 of the balls so far. So there's a bunch of balls that were difficult because that's the first thing I'm doing in every hole. The first
looking for those balls.
I'm looking for those balls. So nice. I could only find 10 of them on two passes through the course. So those are well hidden, which is cool, and I like. That's kind of one of my gripes is they've been a little too easy to find, I think, previously. So I'm glad that they upped the difficulty on that a little bit and really gave you something to do on an ongoing basis with those. And then I haven't even played the night harder version of it yet, so I'm sure that's probably fucking insane, So it's cool.
What I'm hearing is I should not play this course until I play the other ones and get
for sure
good
for sure.
First.
For sure.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah. Because it's, just like simple economics. It could drop, could go on sale. And if you don't need it yet because you haven't even played the other ones, by all means,
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Highly recommend. Fucking still the best game on the system, no question. I still just pick it up and play it and for 15 minutes, 20 minutes with someone as like just something to do. It's fucking so good. And last thing, it's not out yet, so I haven't played it, but it's of note because of which game it is. Demio is dropping a new campaign on December 16th, Jay.
December 16th?
Yeah. Roots of Evil. And sign me the fuck up for that, obviously.
Yes.
The tweet on the Demio account says it features a bard, so I'm guessing that means a new character class.
Character.
Yeah, I think that's what that means. And it says new levels and more, so, who the fuck knows what that means, but...
Dude, I'm down. Real. I'm down.
Yeah, can't play. Yeah, we do. We fucking have fallen off. We gotta fucking do one of those games soon.
I was thinking about that, because little story. Let me take you on spin you a little yarn. So, obviously working internally, I'm looking at what games we have available, and it looks like we have Minecraft available in Oculus. And I was like, that would be amazing. Like, Zion loves freaking Minecraft, like a huge property. And so, long story short,
that would probably be cool as shit in VR too, dude. Like the building and stuff. That would be amazing.
Oh yeah, that's why. So I rushed to do it. It doesn't.
Is that not available anywhere in VR as is?
Yeah, it's so you can get it on the Rift. Like, you can get Minecraft on Oculus Rift, and you can get it like through Steam, but like you can't really get it on the Quest yet. Like there's this workaround that you can do
if they didn't have it.
Yeah, there's a workaround you can do, which I'm going to look into. But I thought it was like when I looked in the
you
store,
can play any Steam games. I mean, that's the whole thing with the Kinect.
I know,
you can play any Steam game.
This made it seem
theoretically
initially like it was like going to be a straight something you could just connect and like boom natively play. But I got to make it work. So I was kind of bummed that I couldn't make it work. But it was the first time I plugged into Oculus, and probably, like I said, probably a month because of these other releases and just timing and stuff. And so when I did that, I remembered I was like, oh, I should play some Demio. And I was like, I don't really have time to like get into a whole Demio campaign. I wonder what Folan's doing. I was like, we got to do it soon.
There's a save feature now. They have save. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I mean, it's been a while, so I'm ready. I need to get back in. Is what I'm saying. I thought about it, and I actually have next week off, so hit me up.
Yeah. Word. Yeah, I'll definitely play some next week for sure. Yeah, I got one little fucking budget I got to do for next week, but next week is going to be light.
Sweet.
For sure. Word. Okay. Well, fucking, that's a nice long. What we're jamming on now. Let's talk about Sega Visions issue 1.
North America song from Air Diver on Genesis.
and you don't know with YouTube, but if the actual, however they determine the official naming, like the titles of those songs, if it's actually, or of the tracks, if they actually call it the America song, it's like, if that's their official title of that track, that's great.
And this one it is. It's crazy. It says North America song. It's like, okay, song.
Yeah, if you call that a song, all right. So this is this issue is dated June-July of 1990. The cover price is $350, so they think they are on par with Nintendo Power. Despite the fact
of course,
34 pages.
Would you expect anything less?
Yeah, they don't even mention Canadian dollars, so that kind of lets on, I think, how wide they expected this to roll out, like the distribution for this, you would think. And the kind of headline or focal point of the cover here is Sega for the 90s, the new generation. And that tagline is kind of graffitied onto a brick wall that's visible through a hole ripped in the cover mag, and around it are a smattering of things they are most excited about over at Old Sega HQ. And we have Michael Jackson here. We have Ghostbusters, the logo of it. We have Spider-Man. We have Joe Montana. We have Phantasy Star, Shinobi. I think that's Roston. The Conan deal up top is probably my best guess. That's Roston. And they've got that thatchwork pattern they love so much working here as well, too. It's kind of it's like some limbo area between the blue on white, or then the uglier blue on white SMS background and the hotter gray on black that would characterize the Genesis boxes. It's like I don't know, somewhere between the
Dude,
two.
I can I just say I love the fact that you gave them that being Joe Montana. I look at this and I'm like,
Well, I guess that's just
this
I
looks
know
maroon
because
to me.
yeah.
I'm calling it a stock football player. You got all these superstar characters. You got a stock football player.
Well,
Like
that's yes, you have to know the narrative to call that Joe
Yeah.
Montana for sure. No question.
Fair enough.
But if you know the narrative at all of early Genesis, you know that's Joe Montana. And it's not that it doesn't look like him, you know. The likeness is kind of Montana-y. Clearly the white helmet, I mean they can't use any NFL shit, so what are you gonna do? It's certainly it harks back to some Atari marketing in that regard, for sure.
Right?
I'll give you that.
I do get those vibes.
Yeah.
That's where I was going.
Yeah, for sure. The upper right corner also has the Photoshop tear thing going on, below which Premiere Issue is available, or visible rather. And the magazine for Sega video game players is below the title treatment there at the bottom. The bullet point summation is small on the bottom as well in this Premiere Issue. And then it says game reviews, a look at some hot ones. First time ever, the world of Niles Nemo. And then great new strategies and hints. So
I do love the font for the Sega in the middle. That's some hot like Freddy Krueger / hot 90s rad font.
Well, yeah, dude. I'm just everything is very hot. Yeah, it is hot 90s is a great adjective for it. It is just all and that's just their whole existence at that time was this. Just like it busting through, blah, Kool-Aid Man running through the fucking wall. Like, it's like just fucking
yes.
It's just exactly what it is. So. Get used to that. We're going to see a lot of that with Sega for the next few years. Moving inside the mag, we start off with a Toys R Us full-pager peddling the Genesis at a cool $189.99. And the tagline on this thing is play with the big boys. So they're already trying to separate themselves from the child's play of the NES. Mm-hmm. And some other good copy in here, I thought. Move up to the glory and excitement of Sega's Genesis video game system, the system you've heard everyone talking about. The system with 16 bits of awesome video power, just like the arcade. Everyone talking about. So, if you buy it at their store, you get a free copy of Altered Beast, suggesting that if you buy it elsewhere, you don't, to me. And I didn't know that wasn't a standard pack-in for the early release of the system, and that's kind of a wow for me, man. The later release core system it was called. Mm-hmm. It was at a much lower price point and had no pack-in game at all. It was like $89.99, I believe it was, and that was actually what I got when I got my Genesis, which was pretty late in the Genesis, or later in the Genesis cycle. Not pretty late, but not Altered Beast time. Sonic was out. There were systems selling Sonic when I got my Genesis, and now I got the core system. So,
gotcha.
Yeah. And I actually I had to I had to buy my own Sonic, or I had to obtain my own Sonic copy at Video Game Exchange, and it was probably on a trade-in of like 15 NES games that I was a moron for getting rid of. So that was it's notable to me that, and I still got the one that says not for resale on it. I remember, which is like the one that essentially someone sold from their pack-in. So it's just such a sad sequence of events economically. Yeah. Anyhow, I'm just shocked they had the balls for that early on, not including a game standard with the system. That's such a. I mean, I know Nintendo doesn't have a 16-bit offering, but to expect the consumer for that to mean anything to them was. It's why they had a hard time getting a foothold probably early, or part of one of the reasons they had a hard time getting a foothold early on and had to kind of do that major rebranding, major change up to the Sonic era that Kalinske inspired, or Kalinske kind of oversaw. So
yeah, and, I think they did it pretty well here, because for me, when I see this, I'm loving it. Like, because who doesn't love a Toys R Us ad? If I see Toys R Us ad, freaking Sunday newspaper, I'm reading it.
Yeah,
I'm
that's the right start, and it's the right,
it's
the right place to partner up with too.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. It probably is, and I just don't remember. But Nintendo was a prick, man, with retailers. They knew what they had, and they were very, don't fuck with us. Almost mob-like,
we know
and
our
like
stuff.
their expectation about competitor stuff and yada yada yada. So, it was probably a conversation. The Sega Genesis being prominently marketed by Toys R Us, it was probably a conversation. I bet. I'd be curious to know more about that again if I just don't if it wasn't talked about in Console Wars in Blake's book.
Yeah.
In any event, on to the table of contents next, and it's better than GamePro, I would say. Even though that Shinobi screenshot looks like a toddler got a hold of their mom's Polaroid camera, I would say.
All right, it's like, really? So it's what he's just
right.
click.
It's just looks like shit, but it's still at least like the framings are better, and like there's actually cropping to the photos on the focal. It's not just like shitty excerpts from fucking pages later in the magazine.
Yeah. Agreed.
And it also points out here that there are trading cards in here, like likely in perforated tear-out fashion, a la Sports Illustrated for kids, and that's fucking hot. It goes without saying. So
hotness.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I'm saying, you know what? I can't believe I didn't look those up.
Is that Axe Battler? Yeah, just like posing, like
yeah. No, that would have been fuck, dude. That would have been all over that. I can't believe Nintendo Power never did that. So, next up we have the full pager, or rather I should say that full pager from Seismic for Air Diver that we saw in GamePro already, and it bridges us to a letter from the publishers and the masthead. And get into this little letter here. It reads, "This magazine is an important part of Sega for the 90s, the new generation." So I bet, like, I don't know, just I bet so much time and manpower went into devising that. Like, it just always cracks me up. These like slogans and shit, like you just know there's just a room full of dickheads just beating the marketing drum for days, weeks between different options, deciding what, doing fucking market research and polling and all sorts of focus groups is the word I'm looking for there. Just like so much effort and money going into this.
They may have had like a Mad Men-esque like ad agency right there with them, like, all right,
for sure.
This is the vision, this is how it's got to be. We got to
probably
use
multiple.
Words
they probably hired multiple. They probably had to go in and compete like Survivor. For
sure. Like, we won the Sega account. What up?
Yep. Yeah. So this letter is signed by Al Nilsson. His title at the time was Global Director of Marketing, and Bob Harris also, which is another prominent guy in their management hierarchy. And they co-signed this baby, so they're the ones kind of, I guess, in charge of this whole little new magazine effort here. And they kick off actual content on the next page with a gross kind of, I think, product placement article for what is really just a Chuck E. Cheese knockoff. It's called Sega's Timeout Family Amusement Center.
Right.
And had you ever heard of these, Jay?
Never freaking heard of this, man. It sounds like, to me, it's like, first of all, I'm shocked there are 100 of them. Like, can you imagine? This is like a freaking 100 of them. But like, this is what I'm thinking. Because every time you see a Sega ad from this time, what are they touting? They're touting arcade. We are like the arcade. Sega is arcade quality. Genesis is arcade quality. So what better way to do that than own arcades and be like, yep, look, it's the same stuff. You know what I mean? So I guess it makes sense. But like, we're
it's like movie studios owning theater chains. It's the same concept. Like, we control the distribution pipeline and what product gets put where. So yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
It's certainly not a bad business venture.
Dude, I loved arcades. We've talked about this. Like, my parents and I would go on a trip every year, and I would always look for the arcades. And like, I always had money to spend. It was like, yes, quarters. This is where they're going. Arcades were hotness.
Yeah, I told you, we had that Aladdin's Castle at the Lyria Mall. But
never heard of these. No Sega's timeouts, huh?
Yeah, we did not have these for sure. Yeah. So they say in here that they do have Sega arcade games, of course, but their pitch here is not those really. It is how cool the non-video gaming options are: the skee ball, the hoop shot, the whack-a-mole, and that is standard Chuck E. Cheese fare. So this is like they are trying to eat at the market share of Chuck E. Cheese here. I think, and it's.
They got to branch out. Got to be full family entertainment.
Yeah, because Chuck E. Cheese's, at least to my knowledge, I never saw one that was actually in a mall. Because these are I guess that's worth specifying. These are like just standard mall in an indoor shopping mall units. They're not like standalone, big sprawling.
That's why they seem like they would be more like Aladdin Castle with a little more, with a little more skee ball type stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely
kind of like we have here, like in the mall we have here at the Bellevue downtown mall. They have a place. It's like forget what it's called, but it's kind of like that, you know, like this exact type of place for adults, better games, you know.
GameWorks, a GameWorks of
GameWorks, yeah,
sorts.
like
Yeah,
that.
but in a mall. Yeah, I mean, and you know, that's I think it's kind of it's an interesting idea to because you know it's clearly going to Chuck E. Cheese is a destination. You don't
Oh, yeah, for
go.
sure.
You don't go to the mall and stop at Chuck E. Cheese. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So like having it in the mall makes it more of in the same fashion that Aladdin's Castle is.
Yeah.
Either you back then they probably would just drop the kids off there and then go
Exactly,
do the shopping,
mom
just leave
shopping.
their fucking kids. Yeah, just leave their fucking kids alone in a fucking mall, which is crazy.
The dream, like, mom, you're
Yeah.
going what? Where you going, mom? Can I go, please? I got these quarters, mom. Remember we
Yeah.
talked about this 3 weeks ago.
Yep,
You
drop
said
me
you
at
were
Aladdin's
going
Castle.
dress shopping,
Yep. And that's
where I was gonna be.
why Jab and I didn't have that exposure because our parents were not going and just shopping at the mall. And I don't think they ever really did that. I don't know, too poor, too Harley Davidson focused. I don't know exactly what the reason for that would be, but yeah, they definitely were not just go and shop at the mall, people. Yeah. So yeah, they have in here they have a couple of tear out coupons for $1 worth of free gameplay, and I just cannot believe that they're still in the magazine in the scan that I have. I cannot believe they are not just like really poorly
Ripped out.
torn out. You know, yeah.
Well, maybe they lived in a space like we did. And we're like, I never heard of
Dude.
this place, you know?
Even if that were the case, if I'd have gotten this, I'd have torn those out and had them ready. They'd have been in my fanny pack or something for whenever I found one.
In
like,
case you ran across
yeah,
one
just
in the
in case of
wild.
emergency, break glass, give it free video game. They would not have stayed in
That's
this
awesome.
magazine unless I was just carrying this magazine around with me all the time, which is also a possibility.
That's understandable. I guess I could see that. I'm like, otherwise, why would you have that, you know? But you better believe if I grew up in a town where this existed, 100% cut out of
Oh
me.
yeah,
100%.
yeah, 1,000%. Yeah, free. Yep. After that, we get a one-page piece covering Sega of America President of the Hour, Michael Katz. And Jay, how bad is this photo of him awkwardly holding that Sega hat,
Right?
positioned
Like,
in that ultra-staged desk lean pose straight out of the Olin
why
Mills
is it
catalog?
sitting on his arm? Like, why on his forearm? Who
It's so
does that?
bad.
No one would ever do that. Would you ever
No,
do like
that's
that?
not true. It is exactly how a photographer tells you to pose in 1990.
Well, yeah,
It is exactly how you were told to pose by the photographer in 1990. But it is horrible, yes.
Oh my gosh. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing natural.
It's so bad. It's
Oh, man.
just so bad. It's so staged. Like just no awareness of realism at all. It's just like so terrible. It's so bad. And Olin Mills just
Right?
you know,
That's definitely definitely
so
what it
fucking
is.
horrible. Ah!
He's like, here we
So-
are too. I've been at a great. I've been at a great.
The opening paragraph boldly states he is the man who will steer Sega through the 1990s, and that is not a true fact. He is replaced by Tom Kalinske in October. So fucking like 3 months later.
He's
3 months
projecting.
later.
He's projecting
he's
what he
gone.
wants to happen. You know.
Yeah. So fucking that's funny.
Oh.
But they highlight his long lineage of electronic home entertainment mastery. So he started at Mattel with the first electronic handheld auto race in the mid 70s. He oversaw that, and then he worked at ColecoVision in the early 80s. So some video game dabbling there, and then moved over to Atari in the late 80s. And he rambles on. It's probably a third of this article is him rambling about the terrible decision to focus company resources on continuing to support the Master System with console redesigns and new game development for the SMS, So like it's just like it's that the Atari syndrome, just like we can't let this go. They don't trust the market's willingness to adapt to the new, better thing. You know what I mean? And it's such a different time. And like, not only do they not trust it, they fear the market backlash of consumers saying we bought and invested in this thing, and now we aren't gonna. It's not gonna be continuing to be supported. Well, fuck you, Sega. I'm gonna go buy a fucking ColecoVision or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's
Exactly.
like it's not only it's just such a
Now the market is expecting new things, like every
yeah.
so often. Like, all right, what's the
Yeah.
next new thing that I have to buy? You know, like,
Yep.
who'd have thought? Who'd have thought?
Yep. How can I pay you money to get on a list to have the right to buy it 18 months from now?
Like I'm ready. Here's like literally people say, "Take my money." So.
Yeah, shut up and take my money. Insert GIF here. They then double down on their SMS rhetoric with a full page pitching the system, and then a handful of games we've already seen: Psycho Fox, Golden Axe, Dead Angle, Slapshot, and Ultima 4. And after that, we have what is titled Game Doctor. And this is some person answering supposed writing questions that deal in mostly hardware questions about the SMS and Genesis products. And the opening blurb of this, in the red there, sets this up like Game Doctor was this known thing to gamers at the time, like this known expert. And Sega was just contracting him or her to field these questions because of his existing expertise. You know what I mean? And I'd never heard of it. I crawled all over the internet trying to find anything about him or her, and there was nothing. So I don't know. Like, it's weird.
I'm sure you're familiar with the Game Doctor, the number one source. Like, right. That's all. That's also what the Mad Men marketing firm said. This is
right. Exactly right. Yeah.
No one's who's going to question this. Like, no one.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. Yeah. There's no internet. Who's going to fucking? Yeah. Who's going to call us on this bullshit? Yeah. And like, yeah. There. You know, we like the mindset of again. 17 idiots in a fucking conference room trying to figure this shit out. Like the idea that you could not have an expert be on his first day. Like it's just not, you know what I mean? Like this cannot be Game Doctor's first day at work because he's the expert. He has to have an existing resume, you know, he just must, or this doesn't sell, you know, which is fucking hilarious and whatever. So yeah, listeners, if you know anything about Game Doctor's prior resume to this first episode or first issue of Sega Visions here, please do at us with that information. We look forward to hearing it. The one I found most interesting of the Q&As here was the second one. And the question is, first it was 8-bit games, and now it's 16-bit games, which is just what we were just talking about. Shouldn't I just wait for the 32-bit game systems to show up next year? Which is like, and their answer is, you can wait, but they won't be here next year or the year after that either. Remember, it's not just power, it's screen resolution. Right now, home video games are up against a technological brick wall known as the family TV set. Since Genesis pushes TV capabilities to the limit, better game graphics will depend on HD TV, which is years away. And I am mildly to medium strong impressed. They even are talking about HD TV in 1990. In 1990, you might as well been talking about the cure for cancer or something.
Right?
Like,
That's amazing.
What do you mean? That's
talking about 4G cell phone, and you're like, wait, what are we talking about now? What is that? G4? What? At that time?
Yeah, so it's, yes. I mean, yeah, it's wild. I mean, and, you know, like, I'm like trying to parse the validity of that. The Genesis is, you know, yes, operating at the 240 by 320 or 320 by 240, whichever it would be, resolution, and that, is the maximum standard definition resolution, I guess. So maybe that's true, but so the 64, Nintendo 64, and the PlayStation hit in what? Like, that was like 1999, 1998, something like that? Where
PlayStation, like 1998 or in 87, or 1998 and 97, yeah.
Okay. And HDTV, I mean, when the fuck did HDTV become a thing? I guess I should have looked that up, but
I feel like it was later. Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
later.
Yeah, dude, fucking 2005.
Maybe what
2005, I am lugging my 25-inch fucking Magnavox. And granted, I was broke, so I'm sure they were out by then, by 2005. Panel. Yeah, some sort of LCD, plasma, something or other, I'm sure we're out. So I'm not suggesting that they're not out in 2005. But it wasn't like my GameCube worked fine on that TV. You know what I mean? It wasn't fucked up or anything. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to know how true this is, or if they're just like kind of pulling your leg here a little bit with a little bit of conjecture.
But also,
yeah.
I mean, but also letting you know, you could be waiting a while. Like, why? Like, you could be waiting like a year and a half. You could be waiting 3 years. Like, you just freaking buy one now. You know,
and they would be. Like, I mean, this is just hitting. Like the Genesis is just hitting in 1990 or 89. It landed, I guess, August 89. So yeah, I mean, like I said, that's it's fucking almost a decade. We're talking before the 64. PlayStation hit 97, so 8 years. But that's a long.
No, but like 32-bit, because 16-bit on Nintendo side would be Super Nintendo, right? And then 32-bit would be the Nintendo 64. No. There was no 32.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's no 32-bit. Yeah.
And,
Well,
but,
I think the
but
PlayStation. I think
had,
bits are going out the window a little bit. I think. I think technically, the PlayStation.
But at the time, that's what we used to do, though. We used to count it by bits. It was like Nintendo 8, like Super Nintendo was 16, but then like the Nintendo
I think
64,
Dreamcast and PlayStation were 32-bit technically, and the Nintendo 64 was a little bit later, and that was 64-bit. But yeah, it was on.
Well,
carts
because
and
I had that
and-
when I was in high school, and so we
Yeah.
obviously had Nintendo 64s in college too. So like, I mean, that's a while to wait for that game.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
that's
Yeah,
what
for
I'm
sure.
saying.
No,
That's
yeah.
really a while.
No, yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess, yeah, it's kind of worth noting. I think they're kind of underselling the technology jump time span here. You know, you would think they would oversell.
Exactly.
Yeah, but significant nonetheless. Do you have anything about any of those other Q&As stand out to you?
No, it's interesting. Like, to me, the first one, like, I wonder how long they plan to support the SMS at this point. Like, considering their answer, they're just like, oh no,
And definitely, they're acting like
Yeah.
definitely like you don't ever need to worry about it. Like yeah.
So, hint your
And again,
Atari,
and
hint
again,
your
I think
Atari
that
syndrome,
changes.
right?
I think that literally changes and goes out the window the second Kalinsky walks in the door 3 months later or later that year. You know, so again,
He's like,
just,
nope, moving on, Genesis.
Yeah, no, that's a fucking sunk cost money suck. We're not fucking digging around that anymore. This company's dying. We can't be fucking digging around with dumb shit. We need to push what's good, and that's it, and focus. Yeah.
And they're still surviving today. What do you know?
Yeah, the Fisher College of Business would want me to say, this is your core competency. Focus on it. Yeah, you have a first mover advantage going on here with the Genesis in the 16-bit era. Don't fucking dawdle. Run,
SMS
Forrest, run.
loser. Let's go. Let's take this new path.
Yeah. Yep. They have this who you gonna call game wizards fucking thing here next, and I love that it says tear off and hang your phone. I love that little.
Oh man, are you kidding me? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Though, can you imagine though if you really like did that and like
had it hanging there,
had
on
it
your
hanging there
wall?
Like as an ad executive, that's like yes, like
Fucking
money spent.
win, right,
We got
right.
him. We got him. Yeah.
And they have the like. Why do we need that perforated white thing on the border of that? You know what I mean?
To show you where to cut, man. That's the first cut. You gotta
I was
have
like,
that.
you know what?
To be neat.
They are neglecting the little scissors that would be at one of the edges here
correct.
to show you where to start cutting.
You're correct. They need that. That's part of it that everybody knows. Just to
massive fail here. Massive fail.
But like, think about it though. Like as a kid, I had posters and random stuff on the walls and stuff. So like, if I was a huge Sega fan, maybe I would have that like somewhere, like maybe on my desk or something. You know.
Exactly. Well, and like
just in case.
At the time, I don't think it would be particularly uncommon for there to be like a tack board or some sort of bulletin board by the phone where people put their messages, and that's kind of the shitty ass fucking version of pre-answering machine prominence, the way people kept track of shit that was phone related.
Yeah, my grandmother's house, there's like a list by the phone just hung like everybody's stuff.
Exactly.
Not that you would ever call this number. I would get destroyed by my parents. But it'd be cool to have, just in case, But
the idea of a kid wanting to contribute to the household information.
Yeah, I can see that.
Information. I want to say brain. What's the word I'm looking for?
Hey, this is very important.
The information, the mainframe, the household mainframe up there is also very, very likely too. So a lot of fun, very fun ad. And they're biting off Ghostbusters with a tagline there. Who are you gonna call?
Oh yeah,
Game Wizards. We move from there into Mailbox, and it's one page. And as one might expect, the opener is extremist propaganda. It is Donald R. Burhint of Willowick, Ohio, and he is informing them that upon buying a Genesis and Altered Beast and Revenge of Shinobi, he was left with no choice. There was no other options available to him other than to sell his NES and 26 games to and I quote, a beginner.
Right? I was like, wow, dude. What?
Right.
Just like that. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, very, very, very intense. Yeah, he claims to have originally intended to just supplement his Nintendo with the Genesis, but after only a few short hours of playing time, he could not keep his interest in pissant NES games anymore because of the superior sound, graphics, and gameplay. So,
Wow.
had to go. Get this shit out of my house. Get this shit out of my house. And he's right. I did the same thing. I just didn't write Sega about it.
Dude, I was going to say, like, first of all, like, is this a real letter? Or is this just they made this up and, like...
Many of these read to me as propaganda. But Willowick, Ohio. Where's Willowick, Ohio, Jay?
Is that a real place? I feel like because of my love of sports, like, growing up in Ohio, I've heard of most places. I could not tell you where that is. Do you know where that is?
I didn't know. I had to look it up. But it is a word I'd heard before. It's a place I'd heard of before. It's a suburb of Cleveland, but barely qualifies as so.
Delaware.
And it is way fuck northeast of the city, right on Lake Erie. So
okay.
Halfway between Cleveland and PA, the PA state line.
Okay.
But yeah, it's very... I want to say, I won't get us into a full-on fucking Ohio geography lesson here, but I want to say the population was at the 2010 census was like maybe 12,000 or something, so pretty small.
Okay.
Little town. Little boating right on Lake Erie, port town. And we move from there to a three-banger proclaiming that Sega, or rather the Sega decade is here. And this is mostly just boasting about Sega's prominent place in the video gaming landscape, both in the arcade and home console sectors, which is not entirely true, but you get it being here. And a blurb worth mentioning here, but hardware is only half the home video game playing equation. The other half, some might even say the important part, Jay, is the game. No shit. No fucking shit.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, and that is again just like of course, like software rules supreme now. Everybody knows that. But again, it was just a time when like the stupid box sitting on your TV was or on your console was the important thing, not what you're putting in it. It's just like a different. People didn't understand games yet. So they used that copy to transition into the heavy hitters on the horizon for their software line. And throughout the 90s, Sega promises to bring players exciting games for both the 8-bit Master System as well as the 16-bit Genesis system, and they just can't let up on the blowing of smoke up our asses about the viability of the SMS moving forward. But the games they mention here are Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, Dick Tracy, Spider-Man, Phantasy Star 2, Golden Axe, Ultima 4, Joe Montana Football, and Ghostbusters. And Phantasy Star, Ultima, and Game Ep alum Golden Axe have all been seen before, but we do have some new blood in here worth talking about. We have Dick Tracy and Joe Montana, but those are not out till January, so we'll hold off. And Spider-Man comes out even later than that, but Moonwalker hits in July, and Ghostbusters hits on July 30th, so those are fair game now. And okay, Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. Jay?
What are your thoughts, sir?
The first thing I would say is what a strange coupling, Michael Jackson and Sega becoming like fierce allies. Like even in the tiny blurb here, they mention it. That Jackson was the numero uno Sega fan, so he is fucking top of the list. So like again, this is not just some shit they licensed, whatever. This is like an ally of theirs. And if you remember, we had that article we've talked about a bunch and how badly I would love to see video of that. Actually, fucking when I interviewed Blake on the Order of Erdrick series, check that out if you want to listen to that back in our catalog. But when I interviewed him, he mentioned hooking me up with Nilsson, who we mentioned earlier, Al Nilsson, who I guess is a pretty fun dude and pretty down for this, and that's something I want to actually fucking take Blake up on eventually when I fucking get off my lazy ass and clear out my cache. I have an issue I want to do a random rags with you ish that the player strategy guide, the one we talked about maybe using instead of GamePro. The one issue that I had, I badly want to do that. That's like a 100 issue thing I want to do. So whatever. We have a stack of shit we want to do otherwise out of our normal timeline and the side quests, but that's one thing I definitely want to do. But there was that day where he came and did like a walkthrough of the Sega of America headquarters, and they did one of those Sega Challenge issues had a whole article about that day when he came and visited, and it's just like a known thing of like how involved he was at Sega,
right.
Some of the Sonic, I think it's 2 or 3, has like some of his like stolen music. Maybe is like a rumor, So there's just a lot of connective tissue between those two, and it's just such a weird. I don't know.
Well, if he was, if he was very childlike in a lot of ways,
right? Exactly,
like
right? Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
I could see it doesn't like video games like is an escape for the same reasons everybody else escapes in video games. You know what I mean?
It's not that it can't be. It's just he's just such a I don't know. Just everything about him is just so interesting and fucking different that like
all that matters, Josh, is at the time he was at the height. He was the top at the time, so that's all that matters. Like, you want to make a game, you love our system, let's go.
You cannot go wrong getting Michael Jackson on board anything at this time for sure. He is fucking like just a
gold
force.
Mine. Yeah.
He is the 1989/1990 version of Adele. Like, no matter what you do with it, everyone's watching, everyone's listening, everyone's buying, everyone's down to party. Like, no one has anything negative to say.
When your music videos debut on like Monday night at 7 p.m. randomly,
right. The Super Bowl. The
like,
one was the Super Bowl.
Stop. Like,
didn't the one at the car in the alley? That was the Super Bowl thing. The Pepsi, the whole one that was the Pepsi. It was like a Pepsi commercial that was like it was the whole song off that new album that came out in like whatever the fuck it was, 1992 or some shit. Yeah, dude, he was like
just regular.
He was
just stuff.
He was God.
Yeah,
he was a pop culture god. And rightfully so. I mean, at the time, rightfully so. Anyways, so
but the game,
kind of like his life reads as now in hindsight. This game is like a fucking acid trip, in my opinion. It starts. You turn it on, and there is a vague animation sequence at the startup that I believe suggests a flying car morphs into Michael Jackson. That's the start of the story. Of a flying car, it's a still shot, and I wish I'd have saved it to make it my background for this segment because I would have loved to have. But it's like just a car flying through the air, and you can see like a neighborhood in the background at the bottom, and it's at night. So that's how it starts. And then you start the game, and you as Mike, you play as Mike in the game. You walk into a billiards club, or you're shown a billiards club, and the door opens, and you of course remain as a silhouette in it for a beat, just for dramatic purposes. And then he pirouettes into the bar. He doesn't walk in. He pirouettes into the bar. He flips a quarter across the whole room into a jukebox.
Of course, naturally.
Of course. And Smooth Criminal just rips in all of the Genesis's fucking sound chips glory, dude. So that's how the fucking game starts. You haven't even started anything. That's just what you're shown to the beginning. And then you proceed to romp around the bar trying to locate and free young girls. And I'd say maybe age 6 be my guess of that little girl, right? Right. And it's all the same sprite. And then you fend off baddies as well while you do that. And they're all guys that are kind of dressed in like nightclub wear of the time, I guess. Kind of upscale nightclub fucking little suits and shit. And once you find all the little girls, there's a counter in your HUD telling you how many there are. Bubbles the chimpanzee, which if you don't know Michael Jackson's whole story, was one of his pets. He has a fucking chimpanzee named Bubbles. And Bubbles is in the fucking game. And he comes out and he directs you to the pool table for a boss battle that wraps up the level where you are dancing to and kicking them to fend off those baddies. And here's the real fucking kicker, Jay. I think this might be a great video game. I think this might be like a fucking fantastic. I think it might be a fucking fantastic video game, which blew my fucking mind. Like, I had played it. I think my inroad to the Genesis was a buddy of mine, David Camargo, may he rest in peace. One of my buddies in 4th grade. He had the Genesis. I think I mentioned him before. He was fucking... I don't know how rich he was. His family must have had money, though, because he had fucking everything. He was spoiled as shit. He had a ton of Genesis games. And I think he had this. So I played it a little bit before I even got my Genesis. I never got the game myself, but I dabbled with it. Maybe we ran into 2. I don't know. But so, yeah, I'd fucked with it. But, like, my memory was kind of like, I don't know. I don't know how I felt about it. Interesting. Looked pretty good. Obviously, the music's cool. But, like, was the gameplay wonky was kind of my memory. Like, maybe a little bit weird. And I couldn't really figure out what to do necessarily. maybe as a kid. So yeah, I kind of went into it with a little bit of an open book approach and or open-minded approach. And dude, the controls are great. The hitboxes are reasonable on those enemies. It's absolute batshit insane application of game mechanics, but it all weirdly makes sense in the universe we have all come to understand Michael Jackson having existed in. You know, it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Even the car in the beginning, kind of. I don't know how. I can't explain why, but it just does. And yeah, I mean, and as one might imagine, the soundtrack is just absolute fucking fire, dude. It is. So they have Smooth Criminal. They have Beat It. Part of Me, and Billie Jean, and Bad. Yeah, all five of those tracks.
Of course.
Yeah, I think everyone.
No
one yeah, exactly. Yeah, bring me someone who has something bad to say about any of those songs, and we need to put them on a list and get them in the crosshairs of the authorities because they have something wrong with them and they're a fucking danger to society. Yeah. So yeah, I would say Beat It is probably the one that I personally used to jam out to via cassette tape in my bedroom the most out of all these. Which would you say is your favorite?
Oh man, I think I like Another Part of Me because it was like, you know how it is when you're listening to a cassette, you know, growing up, and like there's certain songs that are just the popular songs, you know, they're the hit, the single, but you find another song and you're like, oh, but that one though.
Yeah.
That's how Another Part of Me was. Like clearly it was like a song that was out there, but it wasn't as popular as the others, but I really, really liked it. Like, it was just a different kind of, because I was much more of an R&B type person. And for me, I don't know, like, that was just a smoother, more, but upbeat kind of different sound. And I just love that. And It's funny you were talking about this because I almost put another Michael Jackson song as a track. And then I was like, well, we already have a Michael Jackson song. I could put all of these songs on here.
Sure. Well, that's
like, I could just make a whole episode.
I don't even know if you noticed it in the text thread before we got on. You hadn't sent me the music yet. Usually you do well in advance, so I can download it before we start talking on Skype. And you hadn't sent it to me, and I'm like, if you want, we can just use the whole fucking Michael Jackson's Moonwalker soundtrack. I'm totally down with that. And like, yes, you could probably tell from this, we might talk about this game later. I am fine with it being the full music for 2 consecutive episodes. I'm fine with that. Like, right? It's that good. I was
just listening to him, like, all right,
dude, fucking shit. I am not joking, dude. Yeah, because I got to go. I'm like, okay, that's gonna be the song that I drop in the fucking episode. I got to go get it, and I go to the soundtrack on fucking YouTube. And like, I'm going through there and listening to him, and I'm like, I just turned it on and turned the fucking music up, like, or turned my volume up and just let it go, just let it play the whole time I was sitting here doing the magazine episode or doing the notes for moving forward for like the next half hour. I was just listening to the fucking soundtrack, you know. Yeah, dude, it's fucking great.
When looking, I mean, you know this. Whenever I very much enjoy picking the music for these episodes and going through the games and all that, and it's harder with the Genesis and their tinny sound, like their, you know, the way that they do it. It's just, you don't get quite as many hits. But with that, it was just, it made it very tough for me to pick anything else, honestly, when listening to those. And I was like, man, these are just very much, you know, obviously they're all his music, well done in the video game format versus these other attempts to make hits.
Right, yeah.
You know, they're not landing as much.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You can't compete against MJ? No, you're not. You're not going to compete.
Yeah, not going to happen. Yeah, so they have those 5, and then there's also, if you look at the soundtrack, there's 3 original tracks that are not, I mean, they're not quite MJ level, of course, but they're in the same wheelhouse, and they are far from bad video game music. So, I mean, the soundtrack for that game is fucking lit. It is on a whole other level of video game music. So that's fucking cool. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that later. I think I don't really have anything else. I only played the first stage, so I didn't even allow myself to really get into it because I want to play it more with it being a focus. So even if we don't do it, you know, do a kill quest or something, I don't know. It's fucking great.
I will just say this. I picked it up. Obviously, I had to play it as well. And I only played like first level. It was, I mean, I'm not going to say anything you didn't say. it was all good. Like I wasn't quite sure where to go. So obviously, if I had to
That's the
went
thing.
further,
Yeah,
I would have to like
yeah,
have a
and
guide and like have a
I think
better
that yeah,
idea of like
exactly.
a focus, you know. But
That was my thing as a
otherwise,
kid.
it
I
was
don't
fun.
think I got that you had to get the girls, that you had to find them all.
Yeah,
So I think if you don't know that, you're just gonna wander around up and down the stairs through that level because the whole
yeah.
stage is just in the bar. It's like multiple levels
Like, what are we
of a
doing?
bar. Yeah, and yeah, if you don't know to get all those girls and how to get them, the functionality, and which again, I was intuitively able to figure out. I did not read the manual. I don't ever for these magazine episode forays. So, yeah, I was able to intuitively figure it out this time and looking at the doors, you got to go behind the fucking things and whatever and find them all. And then that prompted the boss fight. Bubbles tells you. and then level over and the level ends and you get a close up of fucking Michael and he's says some shit, does a little dance tune or something and you go into another day and it's fuck it. It's just, yeah, I think it's good, dude. I think it's really good. So yes, want to play more, whether it's for the episode or for the podcast or not. And the other one that's fair game is Ghostbusters, as I mentioned. So I fired that up as well. And I was reminded we saw something alluding to this in a mag recently, but there is, this is nothing like the VCS or NES versions of Ghostbusters. So it's it's a completely different game, and that's a good thing because those other ones are not necessarily great. So that's a plus. And there's just did you fuck with it? I assume.
Yeah, dude. Good graphics and sound.
Yeah,
solid
looks
graphics
great.
and sound. I'm not sure I'm into it though. Like I can't put my finger on it. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it did not. Yeah, I was not. I mean, I played the whole first stage. It's much more. It's much more of just an action platformer, and that for one is not my favorite thing. But it does have there's a bunch of shit going on in it. It does still have, in the same way the VCS and the NES ones have kind of the economic component of it, where you're getting money from catching ghosts and using that money to buy better gear and that narrative development, character development is good and it's present in this. And I clearly only playing the one level. I wasn't able. I don't think I accomplished the goal. I shouldn't say I played the first full level, and maybe I shouldn't even call it the first level. I'm not even sure if that's where I had to go, but I did one thing, and I couldn't. I don't think I could figure out what my goal was exactly, and I ended up just walking back out, and I think someone got captured, and I was like, yeah, fuck this, and yeah, so it is very narrative driven. You get some cutscene type stuff. You have the three Ghostbusters there, and no Winston again. So I honestly did not fucking get it with the no Winston shit.
Yeah,
I don't fucking get it. I don't fucking get it. And you can't tell me. So they don't use the film likenesses in the game.
Yeah,
they're original designs for the three, for Winston, Egon, and Spengler, and or not Winston. Sorry, Egon, Peter, and what's the other one's name? Egon, Peter,
Ray.
And Ray, yeah,
Ray.
Good pull. So so it has the three of them, and they're just original designs for them. So you can't tell me that Ernie Hudson wasn't on board or some shit, and that's why there's no Winston in this one. You can't give me that. Right. So yeah, I don't fucking get it. I don't understand why it's fucking prominent. All of it bugs the shit out of me. I don't understand. It's all of them too. It just doesn't make any fucking sense.
Switching up the mythos. I wonder in this Ghostbuster Afterlife movie, this new one, if he is included, just callback wise, you know what I mean? Because I think that one's supposed to be actual direct descendant of the originals. No, I think it's a
later.
This comes later. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then he should absolutely be present. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
That's got. Yeah, I'd be curious because that's the whole argument we've made here. Just grabbing at straws to find a reason why this would be the fucking case is that yes, they hire him and he's not present at the very, very beginning of the Ghostbusters storyline in the first movie. Okay, maybe. It's bullshit, I think, still. Because the Ghostbusters that fight fucking Stay Puft at the end are all four of them. But whatever. Yeah, bugs the shit out of me. But yeah, if it's later in the fucking timeline,
absolutely.
What the fuck? What in the fuck?
Put him in, coach. He's ready.
Yeah. Whatever. So yeah, but I'm I don't know, man. I know, yeah. It did have, there was something missing too, but again, I think because of those RPG elements and stuff, I think it's something that you'd be better served to give the manual a full read and know all your shit and You know what I mean? Like really know what you're getting yourself into. I'd be hesitant to truly harshly judge it and completely wipe it off the slate as a possibly good game without doing that because of those heightened RPG elements. You know what I mean? And I did see Slimer in that first level.
Fair.
That's cool. That rocks. You know, so,
Slimer's a good guy. We
yeah,
do
I mean, yeah, and like you said, looks
how
fucking
can you
great.
not like him?
Yeah, it looks fucking great. It looks really good. So, yeah, maybe potentially good. And just like I said, it's interesting that it's so different than the other ones. You know, that's its own notable thing. That is the Ultima 4 opening title theme. And we kick off game features with an SMS lineup we've already seen at least a time or two. Many more in some other cases. We have Psycho Fox, we have Golden Axe, we have California Games, and Reggie Jackson Baseball. And each of these are one page, a few screenshots, explanation, long form copy, broken up by italicized tip blurbs in red. And all I really have to say about any of these is that they use the word whack in the Golden Axe feature. Practice whacking the gnomes with your sword for bonuses, and that was literally the only thing I enjoyed in any of these.
Yeah, I'm just surprised. Like Psycho Fox came out in 1989. Like, why are they featuring it here? Like, it just seems to me like one of those things where
because they don't have any new fucking SMS.
we're going to highlight.
That's one of the newer ones. Psycho Fox
properties.
might be one of the newer ones. And you know what? I have seen shit that suggests this is one of the best SMS games. And we fucked with it. We tried it, and it looked interesting.
Yeah, I tried it again, and I was like, yeah, why? Yeah, no.
Not enough for me. Not the right thing. Action platformer too. Like, man.
There's way better ones. Like, I missed out.
Yep. So they're just fucking holding on for dear life to.
It's a la the Atari magazine. Like there's so many parallels, man, to this. Like if you had one and you had this magazine, you got hyped and you were excited about it, made you feel good about it. But like ultimately, you kind of wish you had a Nintendo though. Let's be real. Let's be real.
Yep. Before we get into the comic, there's a segment labeled strategy that also features Psycho Fox next, and that's just a page, and it logically is just bullet points of how to get good at Psycho Fox, you know, and a lot of it's just kind of like, oh, read the manual and you'll know that, but I don't know how strategic it actually is. There. Thanks. Yeah. But then we go from that to, they don't dare skew from the tried and true formula of having an original comic in their inaugural issue here, and it is titled Niles, Nemo, and Segaland. And it opens with Niles walking down the street, passerbys just marveling out loud at what a cool dude he is. So, you know, yeah, if you don't know, now you know. And he is like the crux of the inciting moment of the story here is he is hip to a covert pizza delivery service that brings him new Genesis games to his house with the pizza. So he plays these games. Did you notice this, Jay?
Yeah,
he plays these games with his index finger only, controller sitting flat on his gaming station table. So he doesn't hold it in his hand and play with his thumbs like every human being ever.
Every person.
Yeah, he plays it like maybe a grandmother would if you didn't show her how to play video games. She sets the controller on the table and just hits it with his index fingers, the directional pad. And
who wrote this? Come on.
Exactly,
who drew this? You know,
the whole purpose of this is like to create. It's an effort to create Sega culture. You know what I mean? It's meant to make doing Sega cool. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole
what's his
vibe
other
here.
hand even doing? Like, where's it even at? He's just like one hand, like he's.
Yeah, fucking yeah. Such an over. It's just like such a gross oversight. For some reason, it makes me think of the Mega Man 1 cover. Just like. God, that has him holding a gun, and that's not what the game is at all. You know, it's just like I don't know, like how it's a testament to just a different time and place, and just less care, less resources, less manpower, less everything, less fucking give a fuck. A different time, less scrutiny, less everything. So that's what it is. But like it's just mind blowing to me that like the proprietary marketing tool or a proprietary marketing tool by the company could grossly miss such an important testament to their understanding of their own product. You know what I mean? It's just like just such a fucking miss.
Like, because my thing is, why do they all make these comics? Like, why do they all make them? Like, all of them make these comics. You mentioned it, like every single one, and it's not like this one's not amazing and different. Like, it's so. You're
checking the box.
If you're gonna do it, why don't you do it all the way? Like, are you you're just being a copycat at this point? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no care put into that. Come on,
they're trying.
Sega,
Yeah, they're trying.
That's not cool, man.
They're trying. This entire venture is an answer. It's not a first step forward. It's not a new idea. It's Nintendo has this. We got to have this too. So yeah, they have to check every one of the stock boxes. They just can't not do it. So yeah, it's not at all surprising to me at all. But yeah, it is a fail to not exert a little more effort with it because it's lackluster. So the pizza box game in this case is Alex Kidd and the Enchanted Castle, which is a shit decision. And he falls asleep while playing. Like, that's in the story. That's how the story gets started. He falls asleep while playing, and that makes a lot of sense to me having played the game. So, while asleep, he adventures into the Alex Kidd game world and buddies up with Alex himself, and that's kind of how the thing gets going, and he does Alex Kidd things, and, whatever, and it ends, and to be continued, yada. Be a different game next time, probably. So, exactly what the Game Pro and Nintendo comics are. They doubled down on the Alex Kidd shit after that with the start of the Genesis features and a one-banger on that game, and it describes the title as 2 games in 1. The action-adventure deal is the main event, and then there is a game within the game called Jankin that is a reskin of Rock, Paper, Scissors. And I never got to that in the game while playing. I was too bored with the main event, so I never saw that. But
there's nothing exciting about that. I
was gonna say, there's no
like,
appeal
we played this
that
multiple times, and I was like, just for the heck of it, and I was just like, we're playing rock paper scissors. You beat them, you get the money. Like,
not
okay,
not fun.
That's not of all mini games.
That's the
available in video games.
That's the worst.
That is not
possible,
one that I want to play.
yeah. I'd rather play like tic-tac-toe would be like tic-tac-toe would be 10 times as exciting.
Yeah, something.
Because it's like you're at least like there's some like mild skill / strategy associated with it.
This
Rock,
is
paper,
more of
scissors
just a guess. Like,
just,
all right, which one?
Especially you don't even have the. Because like rock, paper, scissors, I guess can have some strategy if you're playing a human being that you know well enough and you play often enough with, and you can like try to map their tendencies maybe.
Like, what are you gonna do? Yeah,
right, exactly.
Like,
what if this motherfucker goes rock 75% of the time? Like you could at least play that angle.
We just did rock at the same time. They're probably gonna do this now.
Right.
But with the computer, like, what is the point? Like, there's no point. I do it, and I was like, why am I doing this?
Random number
every time I play Alex Kidd, this is what happens, Josh. I play those games, and I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, that's my turnoff. So if you're going to try to sell me that this is 2 games in 1, nah, I'm not. No.
Yeah, that's not the fucking angle, for sure.
It's not working.
After that, we have our last game ep, Revenge of Shinobi, coming at us, and 4th paragraph reads, crates may contain power packs or swords, or endow him with crossguard, a move that deflects enemy Death Stars with cross shurikens. And I saw this defense move in some of the playthrough vids, where he's like holding it in front of him like an X,
Yeah.
And I did not do my due diligence to learn how to do it myself, and so I never did, and that would have been good. That would have been helpful. That would have been helpful. Yeah, that would have been very helpful to have done that, and I regret that decision. But I also have no fucking clue what pickup this might have been.
No, because I felt like I saw it in playthrough videos too, and I was like, how is that done? But I don't think I found it and replicated it either. Right. And I was like, I did it without it, but it was still kind of like one of those things where I was like, damn it, why? How is this happening? Like, this person's clearly using this thing that I don't know how.
That would be incredibly helpful.
Right.
Yeah.
Imagine. Dude, and then we have, on the next page, the one, the only, Truxton.
Yep. You keep standing for this flying space shmup, and is this the episode where you finally talk me into it, Jay?
Dude, it might be.
Yeah. I love the fucking artwork, dude. I feel like I haven't seen that artwork before. That artwork is dope as fuck. It's a really cool. Like they found, it's like
You gotta.
it's like a magic eye, dude. You know what it is? It's like a fucking magic eye. It like there's a face there if you allow yourself to see it.
Oh, it is. It totally is.
Yeah.
It's right. It's right in the middle. That's what it is. It's an alien, evil face.
I don't know, with that third eye, like it looks to me like it could be just a spaceship. The eyes at the bottom, and like those could, I don't know. It looks. I think I gotta look at that for a second to get face out of it.
But yeah.
But yeah, no, I've said it's fucking great for a space shmup. I don't know. There's nothing else.
Dope.
Maybe. After that, we have Phantasy Star, or Phantasy Star 2, I should say. And this is an RPG far beyond our game up means, but I think it should be the side quest we do next after Final Fantasy J. I think this game warrants it, and I think we would enjoy it.
Oh man, Josh. Okay.
And we owe a toe dipping into the Sega world. Anyways, after 2 NES. Or 3
at
NES,
the level that we are flying through Final Fantasy, I don't know how long of a game it is. I
Phantasy
could be
Star 2
I
is
could be
long, I know, but yeah. Their last tip here is make maps and use them constantly, which are questing words to live by, and I support that.
Man. I don't want to have to make maps though. Can I play the game without making maps? That'd be great.
You could, but it's less fun, Jay. If you don't have great graph paper in your hand when you're playing an RPG, you're fucking up. I haven't done any maps for Final Fantasy. Oh my god.
Is it because you know the game by heart? That's the question.
No, it's because you know what it is? It looks too good. That game looks too good. It doesn't it would be harder. It's not impossible. You still can discern the squares as you walk them, but it's like Final Fantasy, the dungeons are too good looking. It's just not as basic as Dragon Warrior and Ultima were for the purposes of mapping, and maybe there's a subconscious inadequacy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It doesn't seem like quite the grid, even though it is.
Yeah,
but it doesn't seem
for
like
sure.
it is.
It doesn't feel like it in the same way. And it also has like a little bit of an isometricness to it. There's a bit of an angle, not isometric, but a little bit of an angle to it. But that's no reason I should figure it out.
If you say so.
And we get a strategy feature for Genesis after that, and it's on one I can't implore you to try enough. Action puzzler Zoom! Come on, boy! Yeah, there's not nearly as much strategy post here as you'd expect of a page labeled as such, though. It's pretty much just another game feature.
I'm like, isn't this? I know. I'm like, why does it say strategy? We're just talking about Zoom.
Right. They have 4 tips that they call strategy. I'd say the first 2 are just basically read your fucking instruction manual so you know your enemies and pickups is kind of what it's saying, or that's exactly what it's saying, not kind of. I do like this one about hitting the squares nearest your spawn point in the stage last, though. So you'd be like, when you respawn after dying, you're closest to those, and obviously they're most accessible. So like that is a pretty high level thing that you might not just, or you definitely, I played that game quite a bit, I did not think of. So it's a small thing, but it's cool. Like with a strategy game like that, those, like just getting good at them. It's like that, if you remember that Tetris feature for that Howie had in that Nintendo Power issue, where it was the focal point, like some of the shit, like, oh shit, like it's like a very small thing, but with the strategy game, like you're getting better at it, is like those little tiny increments of like just one little piece of strategy.
This little thing makes a big difference. Yeah.
Yep, for sure. Yes, this game is fucking-tastic. Have I said that before, Jay? Have I said this game is fucking fantastic?
Maybe once. I agree. It's definitely a fun game. I mean, I played it for a while too. I mean, I picked it up. It was like, oh, we got some Zoom. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, that game's fucking dope. Yeah, not too long ago, Amy and I busted out just as like something to do on a fucking whatever night it was, like a Wednesday night. Like, I'm gonna play some fucking Zoom, bust out the Genesis, So it's fucking it's that good and warrants that level of revisiting. So great fucking game. Play it if you have not. After these messages,
we'll be right back.
16-bit sports strategy. You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis does. 16-bit sports moves. You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis does. Genesis does. Genesis does. 16-bit sports action. You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis does. What Nintendo? The 16-bit Genesis system by Sega. Genesis does it all.
That is a commercial from the Genesis Does What Nintendo Don't marketing campaign.
Genesis does! I just love it now. I'm stuck in my head all day.
So 90s. Yeah, it's the first real shot fired over the bow in the console war of the early 90s. And this is a focus on their sports titles, all of which took the step of attaching a licensee to adorn the cover. We jump back into the mag with a print extension of that same marketing campaign, one of their epic three-bangers, with the first page being just a bold white text on all black background. And this one just says, Genesis does.
Genesis does!
I guess, it's a blasphemy that I'm saying it in the way that I am. You're right.
Come on. Got to get on board with that market.
So yeah, the ensuing 2-page spread is headlined "What Nintendo Don't," and they put a period there, as they usually do with these. Yeah, you can bet your sweet ass that that's a deliberate and calculated.
Of course, are you kidding me?
Yeah, and it's worth saying that like this, that this is all just launching at the same. This is all happening at the same time. This whole campaign, this magazine, all of this is like one joint thing. So you can bet your ass that's deliberate. And below that is a flying V of 7 Genesis game boxes. Michael Jackson's Moonwalker in the lead position. Yeah. And we also have Pat Riley's basketball, Spider-Man, and Tommy Lasorda's baseball to the left. And then we have Arnie Palmer's golf, Joe Montana football, and Buster Douglas boxing to the right.
Man.
And they really throw the gauntlet down on their competitors in the copy blurb at the bottom. And that reads, sports games which actually put you in the game by uniquely capturing the feel and action of the sport. The superb gameplay and graphics of real blockbuster arcade hits, which can only be duplicated through the 16-bit technology of Genesis. Music video games which recreate the dance moves and stereo music of the stars like only Genesis can. And adventure games with the depth of play and mega power second to none. You can't do this on Nintendo. And they are careful. Yeah, they're careful to acknowledge the trademark ownership of the word Nintendo with a cover your ass footnote at the bottom there. And I've said it before. The American legal system is just pathetic. It's so pathetic that you have to do these things. It's so fucking dumb.
I mean, the fact that they just were on the nose, like, you can't do this on Nintendo. Like, I gotta say, this is impressive when you look at the lineup of the games here. Despite the fact that we've seen them a bunch of times. You got Michael Jackson, Pat Riley's baseball, you got Spider-Man, you got Arnold. I mean, you got a bunch of top names in all the sports and in media things.
Dude, I mean, that commercial.
I'm listening.
Yeah, the commercial we just watched. I mean, that was also a very consolidated joint effort to attach what they perceive to be, anyways, prominent sports endorsees for every one of those sports titles. And moving forward, like that focus never gets lost. Like Genesis. It's kind of it's a little bit of a stereotype thing that Genesis always in the 16-bit era was the prominent sports machine. You know what I mean? Like it never relinquished that title. Like they started strong, got these licensees, established market share, and retained it throughout that era. Nintendo, Super Nintendo never really. I mean, they had a lot of the. They had Maddens and they had basketball games and shit too. Yeah. A lot of the same titles even, or same endorsees even, but it never.
Dude, I have my Atari, but I'm definitely looking, and I want my Nintendo for sure. But I'm looking like Buster Douglas boxing. How fun is that? I'm like, Joe Montana. So
not that fun, Jay.
I don't know, in my 11-year-old mind at the time or whatever, 10-year-old.
Sure. Yeah, it's that is. Well, before we even get there, Genesis is the only true 16-bit system, and that Genesis provides a total video game experience you simply won't find anywhere else. Certainly not on an 8-bit system or even on a Turbo 8. So they make sure they're not just throwing shade at Nintendo here. They're throwing some shade at NEC too, So, they are just fucking pulling out the big guns for this marketing campaign.
Letting you know,
you guys all have dicks, but it's not like our dick.
Oh my gosh. That's going to be the soundbite, isn't it?
Yeah, it might be. No, that's it. Yeah, it might be. I didn't even write that down. I pulled that out of my ass right there, Jay. That's not even a predetermined piece of copy. So, moving into the games. Pat Riley, Montana, and Spider-Man are not out yet. And we've talked Moonwalker earlier. and Lasorda and Arnie have been around for a while. Yeah. But we're going to call Buster Douglas fair game now. I could only find a very vague 1990 release date for it, so fuck it, let's party. And this is, of course, the 15 Minutes of Fame heavyweight boxer that was the first dude to knock Mike Tyson on his ass and the fuck out, actually. And the man was Mike Tyson was as big of a deal as someone could be. You're right there, like, we were talking about fucking Michael Jackson earlier. Mike Tyson and Michael Jackson, same level of worldwide, global, maybe not. Actually, no, that's a little bit of an overstatement. Mike Tyson, but close, man. He was the world heavyweight, and everyone, if you paid any attention to sports at all, you knew who Mike Tyson was, and you knew 100%. He was a fucking stone cold killer. He
was the GOAT at the time.
Yeah, for sure. So when fucking Buster Douglas knocked his ass the fuck out, it was a big fucking deal. And we've talked about it before, but you grew up in Columbus, Ohio, Jay. You're wearing the fucking jersey there, as that might insinuate. And I know you've spoken about it before, but I don't know. Just quickly tell us what it was like when a Columbus, Ohio boy knocked out Mike Tyson. Like,
let me take you back. Let me spin it, Josh. So, at the time, my brothers. So first of all, you had to watch these fights on pay-per-view normally, and so it was. You would normally be over somebody's house, like, oh, one of my brothers is having the fight, or my uncle's is getting the fight, or we're getting the fight.
For sure. Yeah, it's an event.
So we were getting the fight.
People pull their money together. It was like a deal.
Yeah. If it was like $30 or $20 or whatever at the time it was, you're like, oh, I'm throwing $5. Everybody's throwing $5, whatever.
Yeah.
And so, but for whatever reason, we had the fight at our house, and my obviously my dad was watching it. I know a couple of my brothers were watching it. And I was watching. It was kind of just like, of course, Mike Tyson. It's Mike Tyson. He's about to whoop another dude. Like, how is this going to be?
This fucking dude the fuck.
Yeah, I was like, he's from Ohio. He's from Columbus, or he's from Ohio. So we'll see how it happens. And watching that fight go on, dude, I was sitting there like captivated the whole time. Like, what is happening? This dude is rocket. Like, he is toe to toe with like the greatest Mike Tyson, who I can't beat on the Nintendo game that I rented. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is amazing. And so when that happened, out of control. Like, I couldn't believe. Like, it was shock. Like, my brothers are going nuts. Everybody is just like mind blown. Like, he came back later and did a signing at like one of the local libraries. I got his autograph, man. Like, it was definitely a huge moment in Central Ohio history, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and I bet Mike Tyson hadn't slept in like 4 days and probably was on like 15 8 balls the night before.
you really, like, I wonder if it really was just like, all right, whatever, let me sleepwalk through another one of these dudes. And he just was not like, oh, snap, like, I got to be up on my game.
Dude,
like,
he was fucking destroying people, man, like destroying them. He had like, can you imagine, like, that's the crazy thing about boxing. To me, or one of the many crazy things. I mean, fucking choosing to beat the shit out of and let someone beat the shit out of you for fucking 12 times 3 minutes. An insane choice to make in life. But the one of the really insane things about it is you train for months in advance. And the idea that you train for months in advance, theoretically, I guess, not to say that Mike Tyson wasn't training, but who knows? And that's kind of the thing. Maybe he wasn't trying that hard at the time, comparatively anyways. And the idea that you train that hard for months and then you could walk in there and the thing's over in like 37 seconds. Like, that is like, I don't know. That's gotta be
But
that's
weird. Also like a rarity. That's why he was so feared. It was like, man, this
sure.
Like,
but
it doesn't happen.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. Yes, it's a rarity in a general sense, but for Mike Tyson, it was not a rarity at the time. That's how he was doing, motherfuckers, So he probably expected that to happen, and it still, every time it happened, he had to be like, fuck, that was, what the fuck?
If I remember correctly, and I didn't look it up because this game doesn't look really that great, but if I remember correctly, Buster Douglas had like a foot height advantage, like he had a reach advantage, he had every advantage. So watching it was kind of like, I mean, he does look like the bigger, more dominant dude, which is crazy because Mike Tyson.
But that's how it always was.
Out, but yeah,
Mike Tyson always was smaller. I mean, he's fucking stacked, but
yeah.
He was always 5'10". Most of those heavyweights are fucking 6'4",
he was still
fucking 270 and shit.
But he wasn't getting in on Douglas like that though. It was but it was amazing. It was an amazing point.
Yeah,
but not this game. Not this game.
Like I said, I've said before too, but it was always funny to me that first serving job I ever had at Applebee's out at Easton in Columbus had one of their tchotchke wall things was a signed 8x10 of him, you know. So
of course.
I don't know if that's actually like he came there, which you would think is probably the most likely thing, or if it was just some shit they bought. I don't know. Yeah. But it was just always funny to me that he was like I don't know, that Applebee's was representing that hometown thing even. You know?
Why wouldn't you? That I think honestly, I mean, that is the draw of these tchotchke places. Like if you can get a bunch of A-list recognizable properties and stuff from those, like great. But like if you have some local stuff, that people are going to be like, oh, look at that. That's good. Oh yeah.
It's not just like, some corporation. It's actually a hometown hangout. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
No, 100%. But it still was surprising because, you know, not only like that's two things. That's not just a hometown thing. It's also a hometown thing of someone from, you know, that their moment was. I mean, I guess that was only like a decade before that, so it's not like we're talking fucking quarter century or anything. But still, I don't know. It was just such a significant thing to me that I always thought was interesting. I don't think I'm sure that I didn't even know that he was from Columbus, Ohio, until I saw that there, and I was like, why the fuck is he on the wall?
Oh yeah, like, man! I'm telling you, man. I got this. Getting his autograph. I had this autographed book growing up, and so when I would meet like Columbus Clippers players or Reds players or anybody famous, awesome. I would get their autograph. So I got his autograph as a part of that book. I should find that and see if it's.
I was gonna say you gotta find that book. Yeah, shit. That's a good pull. I haven't even thought about something like that in a long time, dude. Yeah, autograph books. Yeah, fuck yeah, Jesus Christ, find that for sure. That would be fun.
There you will find my Chris Sabo and Don Mattingly's and you know those guys.
I'd never played this game, Jay. Had you played this game before?
No, never had. Because yeah. Didn't have a Genesis.
Yeah. I fired up. Beyond some of the very of the time title screen pixel art that was kind of dope, I liked. It's pretty fucking terrible. Like, you did play it, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like boxing games. I'm always like up for like a new boxing game coming out because there have been like some gyms in the past which I can't remember their exact names now and like where I played them, but I'm always looking for a good one.
Evander Holyfield. We'll get to it, and we're playing Evander Holyfield, Jay. But the action in this is too fast.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah, like the you know like, and you know we spent an entire 3 hours bitching about Shinobi being too slow. So you got to walk on eggshells with this, but like it's too fast to properly strategize the way I think a boxing game needs to work to be interesting. And that's like, you know, like format wise, it's very akin to the vastly superior Evander Holyfield boxing we'll soon see here on the Genesis. Like, you know, the side view thing, you're moving, you have, you know, you can punch high and punch low. You push towards the guy, do hooks. There's an uppercut option. You know, so it's like, it has all the things. It's just, they don't work together as well as they work together in Evander Holyfield at all. And
maybe that's why there is Evander Holyfield, because they were like, let's leverage this, you know, that's somebody new.
Let's do a better job. And Evander Holyfield also has a better RPG, is a little bit of an overstatement, but it has a little bit, you train and your skills can rise and fall, and there's meters, and then, you know, there's things to develop your boxer with as you try to take him through the ranks. And that is certainly more interesting and fun too. Than this, which is much more basic, where you can just play like a handful of Buster Douglas plus some other random made up people, and that was, I don't know, like a half dozen or something. So yeah, I was not impressed at all. And if I didn't, I guess it didn't make me sad because I know Evander Holyfield's coming and it exists. So it didn't. I wouldn't saying it made me sad is not the right word, but I was disappointed that it wasn't better because. Yeah, most of these games, these early ones are pretty fun. Most of these sports games, Joe Montana, the first Joe Montana, Jeb had it. I can't wait to fuck with that. It's like it's super basic and weird compared to even the later Joe Montana footballs, which kind of like that. Like the whole story with that Montana game is they hired EA to basically do a ripoff of John Madden football. You know, so it's very John Madden like, whereas the later Joe Montanas took a completely different turn and like became a different type of game. And that was a good choice because it gave you something to like I like this more than this kind of thing, as opposed to just like a shittier version of this other thing.
Of the same, yeah.
You know?
Like it's just this.
But it's not a bad game at all. And at the time when you had so many limited options, and Madden football, I don't think was on Genesis at all yet. It's pretty good because the first Madden was '92, I think, on Genesis. I'm pretty sure.
Otherwise, it would be fully highlighted here.
Yeah.
100%.
Right. Yeah. You would think, anyways. They're probably trying that. Do they even have any other than ads? Do they have any? Well, there really weren't any. That's something I've always kind of wondered. I don't really understand did they even have third party games really until EA came onto the scene with Genesis? Like, I feel like everything is somehow it's either developed or distributed by Sega. They don't really have third parties until Sega and even once EA comes into the fucking landscape, it's not like there were a billion developers.
I think you may be right. I mean, because that's what they do. I mean, it's still now. I mean, that's what they do in partnerships and everything. So
I'm curious to see. That's one of the things I kind of I have these like things I want to learn more about as we do this fucking pod. It's one of the things I'm kind of paying attention to is kind of how the third party system develops
over time. Yeah, how does that?
Yeah. After that, we have Game Gossip, and it is a couple pages of Sega news, and they excitedly start with their signing of Joe Montana, speaking of, as a licensee, the biggest deal ever at the time, a 5-year, $1.7 million deal, which is fucking dope in 1990. Especially for the I don't know what Joe Montana's fucking football contract would have been, but I bet it was like...
It was not like the contracts today, whereas like today, you're like, oh, that's just some nice little extra money. Whereas like back then, it was probably
that's a roster bonus today. Right. Yeah, but no, it's that I mean, a few million dollars is like how much you make for a handful of years in NFL football at the time. I don't have the exact math, but I know it was about that. So 1.7 just to be on a video game cover is a lot of fucking dough for sure. Yeah. Especially if you, I mean, granted, that's 3 years prior and, money moves fast, but 1987, Tyson got $50,000 to be on the cover of fucking Mike Tyson.
Right? I'm like, Tyson got way less than that.
But that's the whole thing, too. That's where, Joe Montana is a multiple time Super Bowl champion when he signs this deal. Tyson hadn't even gotten a belt when he signed that deal. So
that's true. That was like and then he became, So it would have been very different had it been like him, like right at the height before Buster Douglas time.
For sure.
Yeah.
So they wedged some paid editorial placement from Seismic in here as well for those shitty Super Hide and Air Diver games we've seen the ad for. So that's in here as well. And then we have a call to action for reader feedback and suggestions on the next page. And 5 random senders will get free t-shirts. That's fun. And then we have a full pager for a Sega initiative where they're imploring you to graduate to Genesis, and Sega will do the honors. And this is pretty cool, dude. Did you really parse this?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty wild. So if you mail them a proof of purchase for a Genesis, so you buy Genesis and you get cut the little thing out. Again, I bet on the box it has little scissors. Even though you have to destroy your box, which is crazy.
As a kid, you weren't caring at the time.
The box was definitely not. Yeah. Not saving that shit. Although I think I did save my core. I was a weird kid. Yeah, I saved my Genesis core box. I remember for quite a while. I remember having that baby.
Fair. I think we actually, now that I say that, pretty sure when I got my Nintendo, like those boxes were in the closet for a while because, like, in case they needed to be put away for whatever reason, I got like lost.
If you're ever putting your NES away,
they got packed up and put in that box.
Right. So if you mail them a proof of purchase for an actual console purchase, you can choose between one of 3 free offers that they're giving you in exchange. You can get a power-based converter, which is the thing that allows you to play SMS games, which is, I think, I want to say it's like $40 if I recall. I was looking in here, something like that. So, around the price of a game, basically. And you can also choose one free Genesis game, and the options for this are Space Harrier 2, Super Thunderblade, Thunder Force 2, Last Battle, Zoom, Truxton, and Super Hang-On. So there's not like heat in there, but
there's a game you can definitely choose a fun game,
right? Especially for free, you're down for that. So and then the other option is 2 free SMS games out of Global Defense, Miracle Warriors, Afterburner, R-Type, Vigilance, and Space Harrier. So, again, by SMS standards, actually, some of that is kind of heat for the SMS offering. So, Not nothing at all. I was really impressed by this. And you don't have to pay the shipping. Like, this is the kind of thing where you usually see, like, all you have to pay is shipping and handling. Yeah. You even got to pay that. You just
what's really cool? So, like, wait, what do you have to send them? Just the purchase of the games?
Just the proof of purchase of the Genesis console.
Of the Genesis. So let's say you're me, right? Like, I didn't have an SMS, right? Like, so all I'm doing is I have my Atari, and instead of the NES, my parents just got me a Genesis. I could do this and get that power base converter, and then all of a sudden I can play now next gen Genesis games, which is great. But if I was like caring about the SMS games, I could play all those too. So that's pretty cool. Deal.
No, I mean that was a huge. That was like, Nintendo was fucking reign supreme at this time. So if they didn't give a shit, that's why they didn't do it. But like, that was one of the big things. Like, that was. Again, they're pushing SMS games, so like, who cares? Because it's so much shittier. But like, that was one of their like core marketing angles. Was like, look, you get 2 systems of games if you buy this thing. And as long as you get the converter too. So yeah, that was a big part of their initial marketing push, was that you had that option available to you. And it's the funny, like, most of those, like, Afterburner, like all those games, for the most part, got 16-bit iterations. So like, I guess maybe they're not all out yet. So it's more applicable. It's not like you describe that as like, oh, I don't have this stuff, I can go start buying SMS games. But I think they at least didn't. Really? Yeah. What's that?
I said, but would I though? I could.
Exactly. Well, that's what I mean. Like, you chances are you're not gonna do that. I think even they had the self-awareness that like the main target of that was existing SMS users not losing their libraries, or their libraries not becoming obsolete. So that's certainly. It goes without saying that's still a cool thing, because like you talk about Commando on the Atari, like, that's terrible compared to everything else available, but you would have latched yourself emotionally onto that and would have wanted to be able to keep playing it, even if it is inferior to the other things that you had lying around the house too.
Like, give me the next game, but can I keep playing Commando? That's
right.
Amazing,
Right. So that plenty of merit there. Like I said, just the fact that it just surprised me, the level of that's a really good giveaway. And like, think about like the full thing available to you here. So you buy Genesis for $189 at Toys R Us. They give you Altered Beast 2. You go home, you can mail this in, get another game.
Awesomeness.
So that that's.
I'll take it. If like I said, like if I have my Atari magazine, I'm not getting that deal. This is a sweet deal. Yeah, so if I'm a Sega fan at the time, I'm even more so like, let's go Sega. Yeah. Let's do this. I'm along for the ride.
And you can take that to mom and dad and really sell them on the economics of it, because they're not grasping the gameplay portion of this at all. So like, sell them on the money aspect. Like, you buy this, I want to bug you for a game for a while. If you can actually like, I love the idea that warms my little fucking cold dead heart. The idea of a kid sitting in his room with this magazine, like, okay, here's the fucking flowchart, right? Like, literally writing it down, and like getting the pitch together on a piece of fucking notebook paper in their bedroom. Like, okay, so I'm gonna go out there. It's like, I understand, $189. I know $189 is a lot of money, but okay, so we get that. So we get that. We go to Toys R Us. They're gonna give us the Alter Beast. So like, I don't want that. I'll have a game. You're gonna buy a game, and then I go home. I got this thing here. I can get another game, so we can go. Whatever. What's the next holiday? Like, I'm still gonna bug you then, but for the sake of argument right now, we can say that I don't need a game on that holiday because I have this on the one. I just love the idea of a kid sitting down and like seeing the Matrix and then employing all the tools available to them to make the sales pitch to the parents to acquire this new piece of technology is a really fantastic little thought to have.
Oh yeah.
So that's fun. After that, we have a page pitching sending in your high score snapshots for a section called the High Point. And that precedes coming attractions, which are logically previews of upcoming games. And they just have Moonwalker and Ghostbusters in here, which are actually already out. And they are, I guess that kind of showcases how slow moving shit was back in the analog days. Fucking, you can call that previews when they're actually already on the shelves by the time you read the magazine. And then we have a full pager for KB Toy Stores showcasing a $10 off coupon for any Genesis cart and that's on the back cover. And we haven't actually seen an ad for KB Toy Stores. I don't believe, anyways.
We have not.
But I would say this was the Toys R Us, the chief Toys R Us competitor in my retail market was KB Toy Stores. Those were usually in, were they? Yeah, they were in malls.
They're
right?
in malls.
They were in a mall store, yeah. But that is like the one that I think of as being like the other toy store brand.
Yeah. They had a big standalone separate KB near the like down the street from the Toys R Us where I grew up, like on the east side of Columbus, Ohio. So it's funny because it had a big like castle-y type of theme.
Yeah,
it
exactly,
was very like we never went in it, like because Toys R Us was the spot you wanted to go to. So like even seeing this is funny to me that we started off with a big Toys R Us Altered Beast ad, like at the very front of the magazine, and KB's at the end of the magazine. You know what I'm saying? Like it's very much real life.
Yeah, it's just you're not gonna be able to afford keeping up with these 4 Starbucks that are right around your shitty little mom pop up. So you can't not gonna be able to do it.
But keep going. Go till you can't go anymore.
Yeah, good fucking luck. So yeah, in here they are offering the same deal, the $189.99 for the system, and this includes Altered Beast as well. So I think, did Toys R Us say only in? That's worth going back and looking at, right?
Yeah.
Fucking Toys R Us lying to us? No, it doesn't say only.
Okay.
It just says you will get it as well. So yeah, so they're doing that same deal, and then the carts featured are Arnie Palmer's Golf, Lasorda Baseball, Revenge of Shinobi, Forgotten Worlds, Ghouls and Ghosts, Mystic Defenders, and Golden Axe. And I'm pretty sure, it's any Genesis cart the coupon's for. So I mean, that's a nice deal too, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you like it. I'll take it if I have a KB. Go and give me some coupon.
Right. Yeah, and I don't think it doesn't require that you buy the Genesis there, right?
I mean, you add that to your pitch.
I guess there's no reason not to. It's not, again,
Did I get this?
Add that to your pitch, right? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's no additional incentive to buy your system at Toys R Us and then come to KB for the cartridge.
No, that's just a $10 off coupon, so you could just be like, "Oh, sweet, I'm going to KB for my game."
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, it's another fucking sales tool. That's great. So the back cover is featuring very cool dude Niles Nemo telling you how ready for action he is now, and that he's read this mag, and we are out on Sega Visions issue 1.
The stage 1 theme for Slapshot. Not a bad ditty.
Yep. Great song. One of the better sports titles for SMS as well. So nominations, Jay. What are we going to play from the first issue of Sega Visions magazine?
If this was a turkey dinner, I would say the meat on the bone was scarce with this issue. I mean, we've seen so many of these games. We've seen them all before. We've seen them all, and multiple times. And so I got to go with Truxton. Do I need to talk about it now? Truxton, number 1. Zoom, number 2, because it's Zoom. I mean, can we make an episode of Zoom? I don't know, but we'll see. And then third,
we'll certainly enjoy playing it in the attempt to do so.
We'll definitely have fun for sure. Yeah. And then, of course, Michael Jackson. Oddly enough, all right, I guess Michael Jackson. Let's see what's happening.
Okay,
that's all I got, man.
Yeah, so the overlap title is the obvious Moonwalker. That was its first appearance, and it's pretty fucking hot and be super interesting. There's just so much that we could probably fucking have fun with on the ancillary part of that property. You know what I mean? There's so much IP stuff to have fun with there that it's pretty appealing, I think, for a game episode. I also have Ghostbusters for also the same reason.
Oh, interesting.
But we talked about there are some shortcomings there, and I can certainly hear arguments against it, no question. And the last one I had was Ghouls and Ghosts, which is kind of like a throwback one that just happened to pop into that KB ad at the very last second before we left. And
Interesting. I thought you played through that recently for some reason. Why did I think you did that?
no, yeah, we've talked about it before. I mean, yeah, that's always in the big Genesis ads. It's one of their early title staples, early library staples. So we've seen it, we've talked about it, and I still like the appeal of the full circle of have that Ghosts and Goblins first game episode I did with Jab, and like
I always think of that one. Like whenever we talk about this, I think of that, even though it's completely
not the
different.
same. If it were the same game, I would certainly not be sitting here talking about it again. I don't need to play that game ever again. But yeah, this one it's got a good reputation, and my problems with that first one were not the type of game it was, or like the theme or anything. It was all fun and interesting to some degree, or as much as an action platformer can be. It was just how brutally shitty and difficult it was. That's the major problem. And I do not know this one to have that same problem, so I'm hoping that it's a better experience. So those are my three. Zoom is interesting, man. Yeah, but you fucking to hear you bring it up. I'm like, if he wants to do it, I mean, fuck. It would be such a struggle to get game ups.
Like, would it be like Dig Dug 2, where there's like
it would be? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We sit and talk about how are we going to do it? Like, we just did it. Like, fucking. I mean, I guess that's a year ago now. Time flies, but we have done it.
Feels like it was longer ago than that. Even though
what's that?
Right. So I was like, was it though? It feels like it was longer ago than that. I don't know. It feels like forever we did that.
It was the last episode of 2020. That was our Christmas time episode. Yeah, man, that's very good. Miyagi, no squeakies right now. We're not squeaking shit during podcast recording. That's not what we're doing. Different activity right now, buddy. Yeah, man. Okay, so
how do you feel about that? I could hear arguments for the ghosts. I mean, I could see that maybe. Really don't want to do Ghostbusters though.
Okay, yeah, I feel that. I'm not gonna push hard on Ghostbusters. Duke, you're the culprit with the squeaky. No squeaky. Yeah, man. I mean, I would be totally cool with Moonwalker, Ghouls and Ghosts, or Zoom. Any of those are totally fine for me. Which one's the most like I said? Moonwalker is it's like the AAA title that of course that one.
But are we going to get into it and
And you know what? We just did Revenge of Shinobi, and that is very similar to Moonwalker, I think. And
I felt like move wise, it was kind of similar to it, like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's that it is
sprite moon.
Yeah, big sprites. I mean, side scrolling action, fucking beat 'em up kind of deal. Like that is very similar in format. So that's a pretty good argument against that. Ghouls and Ghosts is a side-scrolling action platformer, but it's not like that. It's more of a shooter, than a beat 'em up. I think so. You get some variance there, and Zoom is obviously completely different. So maybe and we're going to see Moonwalker again. So I don't fear not playing that, or having the opportunity at least to talk about it later. Although, I mean, that could be stated about Ghouls and Ghosts and fucking Zoom as well, because those just do not go away. They have not, that's like that early title thing. They just will not stop pimping out. So
it'd be nice to vary the gameplay a bit with Zoom. I would say that, to switch it up to something completely different. I mean, we got our Final Fantasy side quest RPG going. We just got through with a side scrolling type of Shinobi situation.
Okay, and we could play. We could fucking jump on and play Zoom, dude. If you're pushing it, okay. I'll do Zoom. You want to do Zoom? I'll do Zoom.
Let's do it. Zoom.
All right. Come on, boy. Yeah, let's do it. It'll allow me to fucking hear that 8 billion times over the next few weeks, and that'll be great. Okay, so we're playing Zoom next, and then we are on to GamePro issue 11 in the Mag timeline. And you can subscribe to the pod on the platform provided whatever dumbass company that stirs up your pottery. Please rate and leave positive shit for the pod on whatever platform you do listen to us on. If you enjoy our nonsense, or even if you don't, whatever. The website is nyhentertainment.com/ISOHpod. You can email us directly at isohpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the pod and banter with us on the Facebook page. Interact with us on the Instagram, bullshit on the subreddit, talk shit to us about the gameplay videos on the YouTube. The links to all of those will be in the show notes, as we always do. We do not have a Patreon, but if you like giving money to things podcasters tell you to, and would like to do so at our direction, the Able Gamers Foundation creates custom gaming rigs for gamers with disabilities, and that is cool as fuck. AbleGamers.org is where you can find them. There are t-shirts on the website. They're dope. I'm wearing one right now. The proceeds on those after pod expenses go to Able Gamers as well. Jay, what are your socials?
Gentleman JB without the second E. That is my gamer tag. You can find me on Xbox, Oculus, Switch, all the places.
Etc., etc. And I am Josh at Josh Folan on Twitter, at my shift key is broke on Instagram, and that is my Oculus tag as well. And I think I need to change my Xbox to that as well. Can I change my Xbox? If not, I'll put in a help
you
ticket
can.
I'll put in a help ticket with you. If not, but
Does I look like customer service? Come on.
you gotta know the guy. You gotta know the guy, right? You gotta know the guy. Word. Okay, bye.